Dan Kasper.
Prime time! Prime time!
What up, everybody? Good morning. Dan Kasper Show on the air. Radio dials, you got a couple of those. 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online at sportstalk1051.com. You got the Google and Alexa home devices, your Sports Talk app, and the video stream up and rolling on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Hopefully all are off to a fantastic start on this Tuesday morning of May 16th. Appreciate you making us a part of your morning here. What do we got on the good old game plan? Well, not a good one last night against the Brew Crew, or for the Brew Crew against the Cardinals. Yuck. Throw that game away. 18 to 1. Cardinals taking it to the Brewers. Nolan Arenado, we were talking about it yesterday, had some success against Freddie Peralta throughout his career, and he hit another dinger against him, and that was kind of the start of everything. Brewers thought, okay, maybe at the beginning, bases loaded, 1 out, couldn't take advantage of that, couldn't get any runs in to give Peralta, an early lead, but I don't know how much it would have mattered after that. Nonetheless, Cardinals taking it to the Brewers last night. It was ugly. Peralta obviously picking up the loss, but then Gus Varland comes in the 8th and can't even get out of the inning. Gives up 9 runs in there. First time this season the Brewers using a position player to finish up the game. Mike Brasso getting in there and finishing it up, but. Crumple that one up and throw it out the window. I mean, I guess the one, if we had to take a positive out of the game last night, maybe it was Jesse Winker collecting a couple hits, and he was one of the guys. We were kind of hitting up yesterday, looking at some pitching matchups and such, and be like, oh, okay, he's had some success against Jack Flaherty. Maybe he can have some success against Jack again yesterday. Been off to a slow start, Jesse Winker has, and picked up a couple hits in the RBI there, but maybe that'll kind of spark things up. That's the only really positive I can come up with from the game yesterday. Otherwise, there was nothing. You got Wade Miley looking to bounce back from his previous start, hoping to help the Brewers bounce back from that game last night. Got plenty of experience with the Cardinals hitters going up against Wade Miley. Arenado, though, again, he's had some really good success against Wade Miley. 23 at-bats. He's hitting .391. Contreras, 25 at-bats, .360. Goldschmidt, 16 at-bats, .500. Carlson, 11 at-bats, .455. Edman, 15 at-bats, .333. So you got got a good group of Cardinals hitters who have had some pretty darn good success throughout their careers against one Wade Miley. So, we'll see how it goes. Who's going to get the advantage here? Wade Miley hoping to bounce back from that loss against the Dodgers, or the Cardinals hitters who have had throughout history some good games against Wade Miley. On the flip side, you got Montgomery, a left-handed pitcher, going for the Cardinals. We know how Brewers have gone up against left-handed pitching before. So maybe you're not too confident. Got Mike Brasso has actually got the most experience going up against Montgomery. 18 at-bats and .278. Willie Adames, 15 at-bats, .200. That's about it. get another like about games worth here and there for some others. Yelich is like 9 at bats, flatline, zeros, doesn't have an RBI. But all right, the look doesn't spark a whole lot of confidence in the Brew Crew for tonight. But what you got? Kind of a maybe not perfect timing to go over first quarter grades, but hey, that's what we're going to do. We are going to go over first quarter grades now that we are officially just a little bit over a quarter of the season after last night's game. Let's get the report cards out, get the red pens, black pens, however you want to grade it all, and let's do this thing. You do have to factor in that game from last night, but hopefully, how much do you weigh that game throughout the first quarter of the season? But now that it's in, how would you grade the first quarter of the season for the Brew Crew? How would you grade it? How would you grade certain players or maybe position groups on this thing? Brewers, first place, 1 game over Pittsburgh right now, 23-18. How would you grade maybe the bullpen, the pitching staff, Christian Yelich, if you want to do individual players, Craig Counsell, Matt Arnold, first-year general manager for the Crew, grade his performance, maybe with the roster construction through the first quarter of the season. But how would you assess that? You're filling out this report card and you're sending it out. How would you grade this team so far? And then I'll let you kind of grade certain areas if you'd like. I kind of gave you some examples out there. I mean, I've got mine written down here. Going through some position groups and, certain players and such. Corbin Burns, you want to throw him out there, came in thinking high expectations. And has he kind of hit those marks? Does he get an A? Maybe not. Does anybody on this team get an A? They're first place. But does anything about this team, or maybe that's the only part, anything, any player, any position group, does get an A? Is anybody failing? What do you got for me? All right. So let me know. You got to shoot me an email, Dan at sportstalk1051.com. Find me on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports, or you can always chime in on the video stream over there too. Be kind of curious to get your thoughts on this though, and see where everybody's grading this team, assessing this team, especially since, maybe it was an off season that was a little bit of a downer for some fans out there, maybe expecting a little bit more in terms of being aggressive in free agency and such. But given where they're at right now, maybe they've surpassed the expectations you've kind of had so far. And you think the arrow's trending upward, downward? I think if you ask Cardinals fans right now, if they were to grade the first quarter of the season, I know we got some that listen, and I don't want to speak for them, but my guess would be is like, yeah, they'd probably have some lower grades to, for the first quarter, but asking whether they're trending upward or downward, they'd probably say trending up right now, especially with the way they've been playing the last, week or so. So the arrow's probably trending up. Down for Contreras offseason addition there, especially with him struggling behind the plate with the pitching staff. But, all right, let me know. Kind of curious to see where everybody's at on this thing. So we'll hit that up. We've got the NBA playoffs picking back up tonight with the Western Conference Finals. You got the Nuggets and the Lakers. I don't know if too many people who are still kind of into the playoffs here at this point, but I'm going with the Nuggets, man. Going with the Nuggets. Our Kraken losing in Game 7 last night to the Stars. Second year in existence, though. Good season, Kraken. Making us all proud over here. So, but a little bit of a downer there. But nonetheless, still a good season for the Kraken. So, Stars moving on as well. We're going to catch up with RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst here this morning. Going to talk a little bit about, a little bit about the football team and some of the spring sports that are going on down in Madison for the Badgers. We got what else do we got on a Tuesday? It is a Grind My Gears Tuesday, so if you want to let us know what's grinding your gears, we'll hit up a little pop quiz Tuesday. We'll get to that. We'll get that question out to you before the top of the 7:00 hour. So we'll give you a few minutes to think about it. Hopefully not Google it, but just kind of answer that. Especially with our texting line kind of down here, give you a little extra time to maybe hit us up with a Facebook message, tweet, or comment on a video stream or something like that. So Packers wise, we'll hear from some of the coaches today: Rich Bisaccia, Joe Barry, and Adam Stenavich. If you could ask, let's say Joe Barry, because I think he's probably the one under the biggest microscope, maybe of the coordinators. You know, Stenavich might be number 2, and then I think Rich Bisaccia is good with a lot of people right now. But if you could ask Joe Barry one question at today's presser, what would that question be? Would it be something like, how are you going to incorporate Van Ness into the lineup, assuming Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith are both healthy? Is he you're going to put packages where all 3 of them are on the field together? Maybe a question regarding his safety group. Who does he view as his top 2, top 3 safeties? Nickel corner. Maybe it's something like, how do you pick up where you kind of left off last year with the defense in the last couple weeks, playing better? How do you pick up from where you left off to make sure you start off this season dominant? Do you feel that pressure is on you this year? I feel like a lot of you would have something to ask Joe Barry. So let's assume you get that opportunity to ask Packers defensive coordinator Joe Barry a question. What would that question be? So think about that for a little bit and send those babies on over, okay? So maybe a little press pass coming at you with that. So, but we'll have some other fun stuff kind of trickling on through here. So, but let's get things rolling here on the leadoff. Recapping, well, I don't know how much we want to recap that loss from last night. I know some of the players last night was like, yeah, just throw that one out, crumple it up and throw it out. But let's do some grading. All right, first quarter of the season now in the books for the Brewers. What grade would you give them? Who does anybody get an A? Any player or position group get an A? Who do you think is the highest graded player? Maybe so far in the first quarter of the season? All that stuff. I'll kind of leave it open-ended to you all. I've got my list here, but kind of curious to see how the rest of you Brewers fans out there would assess this team, this first place team, after a quarter of the season. So let's get at it. All right, pitter patter, let's get at our first break, and then coming up, we'll chat a little Brewers to open up things here this morning. First quarter in the books. Plus, we'll preview tonight's game. Wade Miley. Can he get a bounce-back victory for the Brew Crew tonight?
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
Get ready to save half with half-off deals. It's a great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, May 19th, with Stamatic of Western Wisconsin. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com. What's the special today?
Well, I've got half-price geofencing with a side of SEO, double bubble on all PPC, and 50% off all OTT CTV contracts.
Sound familiar when you were looking for marketing options? Are vendors selling you their tactics rather than your solutions? Then let the marketing mixologists at Midwest Family Eau Claire come to the rescue. Midwest Family Eau Claire isn't about hitting their sales quotas. They're about helping you hit yours. Go to MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com today and find out how their integrated marketing solutions make just the right marketing cocktail for you. rescue. MidwestFamilyEauClair.com.
A lot of folks around here are breathing easier because of Grace Home Respiratory. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory is a local company that puts customer service first. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory provides an array of medical equipment, services, and supplies to help their recovery and enhance their quality of life. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory has the experience and qualifications that exceed their expectations. So when you need home medical equipment and services, turn to Grace Home Respiratory not only for the equipment you need, but for their dedicated staff of respiratory therapists who are on call 24 hours a day. To find out more, call Grace Home Respiratory at 715-832-7377 or online at ghr-ec.com.
Grace Home Respiratory always has your health and safety as their top priority. Your expert when it comes to medical equipment and supplies. Choose Grace Home Respiratory.
What's something you can't get for $18.99? Enough soil for your new garden. What's something you can get for $18.99? A month of unlimited car washes at Clean and Classy. Something you can't do in 5 minutes? Plant your new garden. Something you can do in 5 minutes? Get rid of springtime grime at Clean and Classy on West Claremont and off Hastings on Brackett Avenue. Wash your car more than once a month? A monthly pass is going to save you money. Make your car clean and classy.
Today's job market is full of demand for skilled trade workers. Electricians, welders, mechanics, these and other trades are the backbone of every community. They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National Guard is always fulfilling its mission of service to our country and communities. Soldiers train to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same ones needed in today's civilian workforce. Army National Guard soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard, aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now that we've been able to get outside and get a little bit more active, have you started to feel those aches and pains again? Maybe it's finally time for you to stop getting that yearly reminder. Reduce your pain and increase your ability to do your daily activities with ease with the help from Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. All you have to do is visit cvosm.com to request an appointment, and the incredible team at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine will help you live that pain-free and healthy life today.
Auto King, one king and one location only on Birch Street in Eau Claire.
He may not be the smartest sports talk host, but darn it, he gives 110% every time. Now here's your host, Dan Kasper.
Summer is a busy time coming up here. We got holidays, vacations, get-togethers. Anybody going on a good vacation this year, by the way? I'm kind of looking for some ideas. Which also means you're going to need to get a lot of food, especially if you got some cookouts and such. So you need a go-to place that you could trust, has the widest selection of products with the best prices, best fuel saver program in the Chippewa Valley. And it's Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, from their meat department, deli, bakery, and more. Hy-Vee's got you covered for all those get-togethers and vacations for this summer. Plus, save more money for your vacations with their Epic Fuel Savers program. Let Hy-Vee help you plan that memorable summer this year. Go and visit them today, or whenever you're getting ready to head out for that little vacay. All right, shall we do it? Let's get things rolling here this morning on the leadoff. Brew Crew falling last night But, I mean, how much can we really break down that game? They got their butts whooped, okay? I mean, what else do we need to say about it? They got absolutely annihilated, dominated, okay? Now let's move on, and hopefully we don't see another repeat performance of that. Although looking at some of the numbers of some of these Cardinals hitters throughout their career going up against Wade Miley, maybe you're a skosh a little bit nervous about that. But before we get to breaking down, or I should say looking ahead to tonight's game, we got a quarter of the season in the books now for the Brew Crew. So since we are a quarter of the way into this thing, how would you grade the Brew Crew? Now remember, just again, a quick little bit of a nugget. Our texting line, since we're switching programs here, it's a little bit under repair. So if you want to hit us with your thoughts, shoot me a quick message on Facebook or on my Twitter, or comment on the video stream, or shoot me an email too. Should have done that on the kind of our email thread out there, but nonetheless, yeah, maybe I'll still do that. Yeah, maybe I'll do that at the end of the program or sometime this morning. Anyways, so now that we are officially a quarter, does anybody get an A? Does anything about this Brewers team get an A? They're in first place by a game over Pittsburgh. But is there anybody that deserves, or you think gets an A? There's no right or wrong answer in this. Everybody's got their own thoughts, got their own grading scales, grading systems and such. So how'd you go about it? Let's, I'm going to start it off kind of going player-wise, okay? I'm going to go break down a few players. I'm not going to go through every player on this thing. I'm just going to go through a few of them here. So let's start with Rowdy Tellez. Rowdy Tellez, the home run leader here for the Brew Crew. So far this year, 256, 10 home runs, 23 RBIs. He's got an on base of a 345 and an OPS of an 873. If you're looking, if you want to break it down in his last 100 at-bats, he's actually hitting 280 with a slugging of 580 and 9 home runs. I'm going to give Rowdy, I think, a solid B. Now, I'm sure there's going to be some people like, I'd like that average up a little bit more. But he's actually almost 20 points higher than his career for some of his career averages. He's a career 238 hitter. His on-base percentage is higher, 35 points higher right now than his career. And his OPS is also higher. So I think I'm giving Rowdy a solid B, maybe even a B+. That might be a little high, but I think a solid B is appropriate for Rowdy Tellez at this point, from what we have seen from him in the first quarter of the season. I mean, if we're kind of like doing the projections here, right? First quarter, 10. Second quarter, you should have 20, 30. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's projecting right now, projection based off the rest of the season, probably going to have between 30 and 40 home runs this season if he continues this trend. Will he get that high? We'll see. Last year he hit 35 home runs. So, I mean, he's kind of on that trend again. But remember, last year he only hit 219. So, I think I'd give Rowdy a solid B right now. How about Willy Adames? Now, Willy Adames, if you're looking at what he has done so far this year, his average is down compared to his career numbers. His on-base percentage is down compared to his career numbers. His OPS, down. They're all down right now. And especially if you're looking at maybe his last 110 at-bats, that'd be about last 30 games. I mean, that's pretty much the whole season there. But, I mean, 182, slugging of a 318, 4 dingers in that. I think I might have to. I'm going to be a little hard on Willie. I'll be a little bit harder on Willy Adames. Yeah, he's got 7 home runs here, but I might go D plus, C minus. C minus, D plus on Willie Adames in his first quarter of the season. Great defensive player. But I think right now, in terms of offensive numbers, especially in a year, this past offseason, we were talking about Willie Adames and, new contracts. How much is he worth? Should the Brewers get him under contract now before maybe that price tag goes up? And right now, maybe there's some fans out there saying, wiping their brow saying, thank you for not doing that right now. I'm going to be a little bit harder on Willie Adames because I think, well, at least for me, but I think a lot of Brewers fans too, had a little higher expectations for Willie Adames. And so far in the first quarter, hasn't really played up to that, in my opinion. Sure, you can look at some of the other statistics and numbers and be like, oh, maybe he's playing a little bit better than what some of those numbers are proving. Sure. Yeah. But I think for me right now, I had higher expectations for Willie. And right now in the first quarter, I don't think he, in my opinion, has played up to that. I'm going to save Yelly here towards the later part here because I think he's going to be an interesting grade for quite a few people out there. I really do. Let's kind of focus now on some of the newbies here. Again, I don't want to go through every single player, but I want to kind of go through some of the new players on this thing. Let's start with Brian Anderson. So third base / right field, hard throwing Brian Anderson. Brian Anderson, the guy that I think a lot of Brewers fans, at least the ones who were chiming in, were kind of excited, intrigued about the potential he could bring to this team. Maybe kind of an under the radar type of signing. And, first, would you say about first month of the season? Maybe not that much, but through middle of April, dude was looking, pretty legit. Like, all right, this guy is off to a fast start. He was off to a fast start for the Crew. First couple weeks of the season, you're talking about over a 300 hitter. Kind of came back down to earth a little bit. But by the time he opened up May, he was hitting 245. I mean, he started off the season incredibly hot from the plate. Looking at, back on April 11th, he was hitting 303, but he was already kind of trending downward a little bit. And I get it, limited at bats, numbers skewed, that sort of thing. But it's gone down, every game from April 11th, 286, 282, 295, 286, 269, 289, 274, 273, 261, 264, and ends up finishing the month of April at a 250. Just kind of going through each game logs on there. And so far in the month of May, Brian Anderson's hitting 211. His slugging is just a 263 in the month of May. And his on-base percentage is 302. So far, altogether, through the season, Brian Anderson is hitting 243, which is just about 11, 12 points off his career average. His on-base percentage, not that far off from his career numbers. He's career 339 on base. So far, 323. OPS, a little bit below his career numbers. He's a 748 career, 727 this year. We know about the arm strength. We know about what he can provide defensively. So I think for me, I'd probably put Brian Anderson at like a C right now. If he was continuing what he was doing at the opening of the season, at the beginning part of the season, this grade would be a lot higher. I might go to like C plus, C plus right now for Brian Anderson. And I think he does get extra credit points here a little bit because of the versatility that he can provide from playing right field and also playing third base, the arm strength that he has and he's displayed at various times throughout this season. So I think it, for me, I'm probably around a C plus, maybe around like that 77, 78%, depending on what grading scale the kids use these days. I'm from the cloth of 70 to 79, was in the C range. 79 to like 77 was a C plus, 76 to 74 was a C, and then 73 to 70 was a C minus. We don't need to go that, into detail, but kind of where I was thinking is like this 78, 77 line for Brian Anderson. William Contreras, catcher. This is kind of an interesting one here too, because this is another guy who, for the longest time, was leading the team in average, was their most consistent hitter. Started off the season a little bit slow the first few games, but then really picked it up about the second week in April. And he ended up finishing the month of April hitting 297. Now, not a big home run threat, only had one home run in the month of April, but 297, 405 slugging, on base of a 388. May so far, I mean, he kind of picked it up where he left off, beginning part, but has really trailed off right now in the month of May. Month of May, overall, he's hitting 171. 171. His slugging didn't go down that much because he has a couple of home runs in the month of May so far. So you're talking at a 400 slugging. His on-base percentage, though, did go down about 80 points, 78 points to be exact. But he has really been kind of going on a little bit of a slump here in the month of May. And you look at his season so far, 257, which is, if we're comparing it to his career, he's right near his career numbers. He's a career 260. His on-base percentage is actually higher, 859 this year compared to a career of 342. And his OPS this year, 757 compared to a career of 800. I think he's kind of maybe surprised a little bit or exceeded some of the expectations just a little bit in terms of his defensive play. And that's something I think the Brewers could kind of hang their hats on throughout their last few years or such, has been bringing in catchers and really improving their defensive play, going back to even Jonathan Lucroy. But I think for Contreras, again, I'm looking at this and maybe, again, about that, like the Brian Anderson grade, maybe a C+. And I know he's around his career numbers and a lot of that, but again, I think, we were looking at what he kind of did last year, all-star type of thing, all-star game. Maybe you're hoping he's going to be a 280 hitter, 275, somewhere around there, just being a consistent bat within the lineup. The month of May, the way he's been kind of trending in May has taken a little bit of a hit, no doubt. But I'm maybe at a C+, B- type of feel for William Contreras, and that might still be a little high with the B- part. But again, it's what your expectations were heading into the season with these guys too. I think has to play a part in it. Better get going here. Bryce Terang, one of the newbies, one of the guys who made the opening day roster. Maybe a little bit of a surprise that he actually did make the opening day roster, but I think it's clearly evident that the Brewers wanted to play some, improve their defense, have some speed, not only in the offensive lineup, but in their up the middle of the field in defense. And Bryce Terang has displayed that. He has shown his defensive ability. And again, this is a guy who started off the season really hot from the plate. If we're looking just straight up from the offensive statistics, he started off the season really good. But middle of April, towards the back end of April, kind of trailed off there a little bit. Ended up finishing the month of April 208. May, right now, though, he's hitting 278. So, career, or I should say season, though, he's about a 234. On base, 268, 628 OPS. 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, 5 stolen bases. Now, obviously, we don't have career numbers to compare with with what, he's done in the years prior because he's a rookie. So the expectations, what maybe a little trickier. What kind of expectations did you have on Bryce Frank? Again, maybe it was a little bit surprised, like, oh, he made the team. We knew about him in AAA. We've been hearing about him. Maybe making the Major League Ball Club just a little bit earlier. I think we all thought at some point this year he'd be up, but nonetheless, I'm kind of putting Bryce Terang, and this might be a little high for some people, but when I factor in his defensive play, I think I'm going around a B- for Bryce Terang. Yeah, you'd like that average up a little bit more. Maybe around a 260, 270 type of hitter. But I'm kind of hovering around a B-, and a lot of that has to do with his defensive play, in my opinion. Maybe a C+ on there. But I just really like this kid's defense and the speed that he provides up the middle and covering so much ground. Man, I think he's going to be a solid player. And I think the batting average and the offensive numbers are going to stabilize, and they're going to get more consistent, the more times he spends up in the big leagues. The other youngster who's probably getting more playing time right away than we initially expected, didn't make the opening day roster, but was called up the day after with the injury to Luis Urias. So he's been getting in a lot of playing time this year. Now with Garrett Mitchell's injury, probably going to be staying with the ball club here. And again, first few games he was hitting fairly well, but has been a little bit down since then. April 226, so far in May 162. This year 207, does have 3 home runs, 615 OPS, on base for 276. Kind of like Bryce Terang, though. Again, we don't have anything to base it off. We don't have previous seasons to look at. He's one of these youngsters that we've heard a lot about. Part of that offensive, or I should say the outfield depth that they've had in AAA or even AA, if you want to count Jackson Cheerio. But again, it's his defense. He's made some incredible plays in the outfield. Catches. I mean, for a big guy, Roman, he's kind of that typical right fielder. You've heard Brandon talk about him a lot. Kind of that typical right fielder. Big guy, 6'4", 220. But he's playing really well in center field, too, because of his speed. So how much extra credit points, if you will, does he get because of his defensive play over his offensive play? I think for Joey Wiemer, I'm at about a C+ because I really do want his offensive numbers to get higher. Great defensive player, but he's got to get those offensive numbers higher. And I think, again, like Bryce Terang, they'll get up there. I think they'll climb up there. The more he plays, the more experience he gets under his belt. But there's no doubt he's got to be better than a 207 hitter. I think we'd all agree with that. Jesse Winker. I got to get going here. Jesse Winker. So, again, one of the newbies coming in, looking for a bounce back year after spending a year with the Mariners. Wasn't working out. Kind of thinking, okay, bringing him back to the NL Central in a hitter's ballpark. Would he put up similar numbers to when he was with Cincinnati? And you're looking at what he has done so far this year. Again, probably not living up to the expectations. This year he's 232. He did get a couple hits yesterday. 354 on base, 622 OPS. It's almost 200 points less than his career OPS. His on base percentage is about 20 points less, and his batting average about 35 points less. And he hasn't been hitting for power this year. He's got no home runs, and he hasn't been the biggest power hitter throughout his career. When you look at it, the most home runs he has hit was back in 2021 with the Reds at 24. And that's the only time he's hit over 20 home runs. Last year for Seattle, 14, 2020, 12, 2019, 16. So, I don't think we should have been expecting, 30-plus dingers or anything like that. But for a guy who's primarily playing the DH role here, we can really only look at what he's providing offensively. And right now, April 245, May 241. I might have to go D plus C minus because I want a little bit more from a guy who's primarily just being an offensive player, playing the DH spot. 13 RBIs, no home runs, 19 hits. Got to be a little bit better than that. So I'm going to be a little bit harder on that because he's not providing anything on the defensive side. I'm going to be a little bit harder on Jesse Winker there. Christian Yelich. I'm really curious to see how Brewers fans would grade Christian Yelich in the first part of the season. You look at team leaders right now. Christian Yelich is your team leader in batting average, 258. He is your team leader in runs, 32. He is 3 home runs off Rowdy Tellez from being tied for the home run leader. He's tied for RBIs. He is the team leader in stolen bases. You go to Brewers.com right now, and they put leaders on there. Christian Yelich's name and face is attached to 4 of the 5. The RBIs 1, there's 3 tied, so they got like a blank face there, but Yelich is a part of that. So, knowing all that and knowing his defensive play, he's made some great defense plays. He's one of the top left fielders in terms of defensive numbers. How do you grade that? Is his average up there about a 275, 280 like we all wanted? No, probably not. But I think I'm going to give Christian Yelich a B. I'm going to give him a B right now. Maybe B minus, B minus. It's not an A, but I think it's trending up too. Now, hopefully he was taken out of the game last night. Craig Counsell saying his back's been a little bit tight, so they're just being pretty cautious. So hopefully it's nothing that's going to keep him out too long. But I think it's fair to say if you want to give Yelich a B minus. One of the team leaders in a lot of categories offensively. That's what we wanted to see from Christian Yelich. Could they be a little bit better, though? Yeah, everybody could be a little bit better. Pitching-wise, I'm just going to run through this. Corbin Burnes, I'm probably at a C. Strikeout numbers aren't up there. His walks are up there. Not what we kind of expected, at least, initially. We had high expectations for Corbin Burnes coming in here. Cy Young, strikeout leader, wins leader perhaps, although the Fangraphs line on wins I thought were very low to begin with. But I'd go C just because, again, expectations for Corbin Burnes, high. They're up there, and they should be. Wade Miley, I'd probably, even with that poor start against the Dodgers, I'm probably giving him a B. He's been fantastic outside that one start. B plus. Maybe one of the highest graded players on this team. Freddie Peralta, C plus. Try not to factor in too much of the game from last night. But he's had decent strikeout numbers. So C plus, B minus, maybe around there for Freddie Peralta. Maybe B minus might be just a skosh too high. You could say maybe the bullpen in the first half of the first quarter probably would have gotten an A or a very strong B plus. Right now, maybe B minus. When we're looking at the bullpen altogether, I mean, they've had their hiccups. They have not been perfect. But when you go into it again, the expectations, we didn't know a lot of these guys in the bullpen. We knew Devin Williams, and that was pretty much it. We knew a little bit about Bush. Now Eric Lauer is being moved to the bullpen. Can that help out? He had a great game on Sunday. Craig Counsell's great for me. He's got a team in first place right now. I'll probably go B minus. Great starts to the season. Went through a little bit of a rough patch here, like every team does in baseball. But first place, I think B's fair. B minus. Matt Arnold, the team he's put together at this point? B. Overall grade for the Brew Crew? I'd be okay with a B, maybe even a B minus. Great start again in April. Great April. Slow start to May. Kind of limping into the final quarter of the season. Maybe lowers that grade a little bit. Areas of improvement. More consistent on offense. Getting more healthy. They've gone, and maybe that's where the grades go up a little bit more for some other people too, because you haven't had Brandon Woodruff for most of the quarter. Luis Urias went out after the first game. Garrett Mitchell's done. We haven't had Aaron Ashby at all this year. So maybe that's where the grade actually goes up for some people. And that's absolutely fair too. I think you do have to factor that in there. For me, I'm probably hovering around a B, B minus when you factor everything in as an overall team grade for the Brewers. Maybe it's a little hard. Maybe it's a little harsh. Maybe it's a little high for some. That's where I'm at, though. All right, quick break. We'll be back to finish up the first hour. For these few words. Plus, pop quiz.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Now that we've gotten some decent weather, we're now more active outside, mowing the lawn, golfing, working on completing some projects. But with all that, that also means you're probably getting a little sore in the back, neck, and shoulders. It sounds like you need a quick adjustment, which means it's time to go visit Dr. Logan at Shepke Chiropractic. With us all being more active this time of year, chances are that we're going to need a few adjustments to our neck and back. That's why at Shepke Chiropractic, their goal is to work with each patient to achieve their goals and perform to their fullest potential in the capacity that their life requires. So don't let your neck or back pain slow you down on your busy summer. Let Shepke Chiropractic help you get adjusted so you're able to get those rounds of golf in or complete those outdoor projects this year. And Shepke Chiropractic has 2 locations to better serve you. All you have to do is visit ShepkeChiropractic.com to learn more and to schedule your appointment. Your journey to a healthier and more fulfilling life starts at Shepke Chiropractic.
A lot of folks around here are breathing easier because of Grace Home Respiratory. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory is a local company that puts customer service first. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory provides an array of medical equipment, services, and supplies to help their recovery and enhance their quality of life. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory has the experience and qualifications that exceed their expectations. So when you need home medical equipment and services, turn to Grace Home Respiratory not only for the equipment you need, but for their dedicated staff of respiratory therapists who are on call 24 hours a day. To find out more, call Grace Home Respiratory at 715-832-7377 or online at ghr-ec.com.
Grace Home Respiratory always has your health and safety as their top priority. Your expert when it comes to medical equipment and supplies. Choose Grace Home Respiratory.
Today's job market is full of demand for skilled trade workers. Electricians, welders, mechanics, these and other trades are the backbone of every community. They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National Guard is always fulfilling its mission of service to our country and communities. Soldiers train to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same ones needed in today's civilian workforce. Army National Guard soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
The brand you trust, prices you'll like, the service you'll love every time you buy. Appliances for your home at Amundsen.
More brands, more savings. Get more options in May at Amundsen's Appliance. Dishwashers starting at $4.99. Stainless steel French door refrigerators from $14.99. These appliances are in stock and ready for delivery. Make it easy. Come to Amundsen's Appliance in Rice Lake, Eau Claire, Chippewa Falls, and Hayward. Or shop us online at Amundsen'sAppliance.com.
Amundsen.
Economy Furniture in Chippewa Falls is something that you gotta see. The biggest selection for miles around, 2 jam-packed floors of quality. At Economy, you don't have to wait for a sale. It can be yours immediately. Everyday low prices on the best brand names, and we finance it interest-free. Furnishing the Chippewa Valley since 1950. Economy Furniture's for me.
More than the scores. More than the news. It's Sports Out the Squeaker. The Dan Kasper Show.
Pop quiz time really quickly here. Ohtani last night nearly hit for the cycle for the Angels. So our pop quiz question. There are currently 2 active players who have the most cycles in their careers. There's a total of 5, but 2 of them are currently playing baseball. Who are those 2 players? One may actually surprise you. Let us know for your pop quiz Tuesday. All right, Morgan, good morning.
Hey, I do not know that, but people are thinking, and don't Google, make it fun, right? Come on, don't ruin it for the class.
Exactly.
Well, people are thinking about that. We have your pop quiz for your Tuesday. Totally different subject, though. So would you say overall you're a dog person or a cat person?
I am now a dog person.
Meaning you used to be a cat person and you switched to the good side?
Yes.
When
I was a kid, all we had was cats. We never had dogs.
Okay.
And now I'm a dog person.
Okay, I look at cats like I kind of look at people. As a species, they're not my favorite, but I've met a few individual cats in my life that are okay, and they're kind of solid, and they're usually more like dogs than they are cats.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite cat growing up?
Kitty.
Kitty?
Kitty was like a dog.
See? I'm telling you, mostly cats that people like have dog characteristics.
Exactly.
All right, so you got Bacardi now, though. Do you have a favorite dog in your life, or would Bacardi take that number 1 slot?
That's the only one, so yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's kind of like having an only child. They always get to be your favorite, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So we're going to look a little bit closer at dogs then. I'm going to say, all right, you're new to dogs, kind of. You didn't grow up with them, but now you guys have Bacardi. What percentage of American households have dogs? What would you say? Take a stab at
57%.
it. No, actually a little bit less than that.
Ooh.
53%. So over half.
A little over half.
Yeah. Group of puppies is called
A litter?
A litter. See, yes. Pretty easy for you. Now, an adult dog typically has how many teeth?
An adult one?
Yeah. Take a stab at how many.
So it doesn't
teeth.
matter the breed or the size? They usually have the same?
We're just going to go an adult. Kind of like people. I think they have a set amount of teeth. They're just bigger teeth or little teeth.
11.
No. Way up.
Oh, 22.
42.
Okay. 40. There's no way our little mutt has 42 teeth.
You tell Bacardi to open wide and start counting.
Okay.
You never know.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I
42?
think. Say,
so 21 on top and 21 on the bottom?
That would be easy math.
Okay.
Unless I don't, they have 40 on top and 1 on the bottom. You've done something wrong. That's
right.
the case. All right. So you're going to get out the board for game night. We're playing Monopoly. Do you remember the little pieces in Milwaukee? You had like the shoe, you had the wheelbarrow. There was a dog. Do you know what breed of dog was a popular piece in Monopoly? Think back now to game night.
I'll be honest with you. I've played Monopoly. I've never completed a game of Monopoly.
Nobody in the history of humankind has ever completed a game.
I don't
of Monopoly.
even know if I played it correctly.
No, my sister and I stole all the money to play bank and house with when we were little. So nobody in my house ever completed a game.
I was going to say, is it a hound dog?
It's not. It's a tiny little Scottish terrier.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
What piece were you in Monopoly if you had to go around the board?
I'll be honest. The only one that I can think of right now is a top hat.
Oh, because you're sophisticated, like all fancy, putting a top hat on, dressing up, Dapper Dan. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're going into film fiction and lore. What is the name of Dorothy's dog from The Wizard of Oz?
Toto.
Yeah, see? You're cleaning up the dog category.
Yeah.
Remind everybody what your pop culture question is today, or your pop quiz question is today.
Who has the most cycles? So there's 5 players in Major League Baseball because Ohtani nearly hit the cycle last night. So there's 5 players in Major League Baseball that have 3 cycles. That's the most.
Okay.
2 are currently playing. Who are those 2?
Come up with those 2. Don't cheat.
Don't cheat.
Don't be the kid who's looking at someone else's paper in class.
And I don't want to give the team away because that'll give the player away.
Oh, give a hint, though. Give a hint. Come on,
playing
teacher.
right now.
They're
Two
playing
of them,
right
two of them
now.
are playing right now.
There you go. There's your
So,
hint.
there's
Get those answers into
and
Casper.
you have heard of them. I'll just say
Okay.
that.
I got the gold stars ready.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. From the 715 Newsroom, it's Morgan McCarthy with your news on Sports Talk 105.1.
Oh, good morning. The wheels of justice have turned, and we start with the courts in a gavel drop. 101 years in prison for the Minnesota man who dumped 4 bodies in Dunn County in 2021. With 715 Newsroom coverage, John DeMaster.
A judge in St. Paul yesterday sentenced Antoine Suggs to just over a century behind bars for the murders of the 4. Police never gave a motive, but witnesses told investigators that Suggs says he snapped and shot 4 people. The 4 bodies were found in an SUV in the town of Sheridan. Police later said they were killed in Minnesota, which is why Suggs was tried in St. Paul. I'm John DeMaster.
Turning attention to Mother Nature, there's a warning about high or very high fire danger for just about everyone north of Highway 29. Wisconsin DNR is issuing a fire weather watch for a northern third of our state. DNR saying warm temps, dry brush, and some winds all made for a dangerous combination, and they're asking people not to burn brush and to suspend all prescribed fires until next week. Wisconsin has seen nearly 300 wildfires so far this year. When it comes to the ballpark, a former Wisconsin Republican lawmaker is going to bat, saying there's a statewide benefit to keeping the Brewers ballpark. Former state senator Dan Kasper wrote an op-ed yesterday that said keeping the Brewers in Wisconsin will help the state's tax base as well as provide baseball memories for everyone who enjoys the game. Now, the Brewers are looking to state lawmakers to help pay for at least $300 million in renovations and maintenance at AmFam Field. Some support at the Capitol, but many lawmakers outside of the Milwaukee metro area not too keen on sending state dollars to a stadium that they say doesn't help their folks back home. They say it's an ongoing discussion. Well, we're at the Capitol. Let's count those pennies. Wisconsin going to have slightly less money to spend over the next 2 years. Legislative Fiscal Bureau yesterday said tax revenue is expected to dip by $755 million over the next 2 years, taking Wisconsin's record budget surplus to just under $7 billion. Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu said the news is not surprising, and he blamed President Biden's policies for inflation and the downturn in Wisconsin. Still, said Wisconsin is in better financial shape than other states. Right now, lawmakers are writing that new state budget and deciding just how to spend some of that surplus. And congrats and welcome to the world. 5 little bundles set a record at HSHS Sacred Heart Hospitals. On Mother's Day, there were 5 babies born, the first one at 6:40 a.m. The last one arrived to make a mom at 8:52 p.m. And you can see all those little bundles online. Kind of a neat local story, 715newsroom.com. And hey, just call it a lab cab. A Colorado man was reportedly trying to blame his dog for, no, not the smell, to get out of a DUI.
Police in Springfield say the man was pulled over for speeding, but as the officer approached his vehicle, the man got out of the passenger side and claimed he wasn't driving after switching places with his dog. Authorities say the man tried to run away after the officer asked if he had been drinking, but he only got about 20 yards and was arrested. I'm Mark Mayfield.
You know, Casper kind of wiping the eyes this morning, pretty tired. I came in here and Bacardi was sitting at the mic. I said, Casper, what's with
switching places with his dog?
Maybe it'll work. For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
Today will essentially be a repeat offender of yesterday, as we'll have plenty of sunshine to take us through the day and temperatures climbing to the upper 70s and low 80s. A cold front moves through, shifting our winds out of the north later on, and that'll give us a night in the 40s, mostly into the mid to upper 40s. Otherwise, another cooler but sunny day tomorrow with highs climbing to the low to mid 70s. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Mike D'Andrea.
The U.S. Supreme Court has upheld California's Proposition 12. Let's take a look at some farm news this morning on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. With a 5-4 vote, Supreme Court justices voted to support that law. In a nutshell, the law forbids the sale of pork in California unless it's produced under what they call humane conditions, specifically in at least a 24-foot square area for each animal. California produces only about 1% of the pork in the United States, but consumes 13%. So in order to provide Californians with the amount of pork they're accustomed to eating, pork producers across the country will have to adjust their feeding facilities to meet Proposition 12. The National Pork Producers Council and the American Farm Bureau Federation challenged that law with the support from various business groups, with one concern being a state regulating activity beyond its borders. Producers of other agricultural products, including dairy products, are watching other laws that are proposed at state levels that have the possibility of influencing their protection methods. One state controlling how agriculture is produced all across the country. Well, last week we talked about Wisconsin meat processors receiving grants from the state for extensions and expansions of their business. This week, it's the dairy processors' turn. The Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection received 38 grant requests asking for more than $1.5 million. Purpose of the grants to improve profitability, help with innovation, and help keep Wisconsin dairy processing facilities up to date. $400,000 is available for this year's dairy processors grant, with a maximum of $50,000 allowed for each project. Grant recipients must match at least 20%. In our area, O'Galley Cheese Factory down in the Durand area, Harmony Cheese over at Stratford, Marika's House of Good, Eau Claire and Thorpe, Nasonville Dairy Marshfield, Weber's Farm Store in Marshfield, Westby Co-op Creamery in Westby, and Wisconsin Whey Protein of Turtle Lake have all received those grants. That's a look at some farm news this morning. Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Bob Bosold.
Want to stop engine problems before they start? Pick up a can of Seafoam Motor Treatment. Seafoam helps engines start easier, run smoother, and last longer. Just pour it in your fuel tank. Seafoam is available where automotive products are sold.
Crank it up.
Hey, are you ready to take? Tee it up. He's on his way. He's our man. The man, the myth, the legend. That's Dan.
And now, the Dan Kasper Show.
All right, here we go. Second hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning. What's grinding your gears? It is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. Let us know. Hit me up with an email, dan@sportstalk1051.com. Find me on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. Otherwise, you can chime in on the video stream on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We were doing some grades in the first hour, first quarter in the books of this Milwaukee Brewers season. If you had to hand out some grades, whether it's for team overall or do you want to do certain players, let us know. I'll send that email out through our Sports Insiders Club. So if you haven't signed up, it's for free. I won't flood your email inboxes or anything like that. But if you want to join in, got some time now. I'll do it coming up in the break here. I'll maybe send out that email. So you got a few minutes here if you want to sign up. And that way you can email me back and give me your thoughts on some of the grades and all that good stuff. The answer, before we get to your sports nuggets of the day, brought to you by Ansi Associates, your answers. Well, let me do this. I'll tell you what the pop quiz question again is. I'm going to do the little fancy intro here.
It's pop quiz time. Think you know the answer? Then get ready to text, tweet, or Facebook your answer to Dan.
So Ohtani last night was a double shy from hitting for the cycle, also threw for 7 innings, which led to me wondering who has the most cycles in their careers, who's got the most cycles in Major League Baseball history. 5 players have hit 3 cycles in their career. 2 are currently active. The 3 that are not active anymore, Babe Herman did it 1931, 2 in 1931, and then again in 1933. Bob Musial, 1921, 1922, 1928. Adrian Beltre did it in 08, 12, and 2015. The question I threw out, who are the 2 active players to have 3 cycles attached to their name? One of them is Trey Turner. You've heard of Trey Turner, right? Trey Turner did it on April 25th, 2017, July 23rd, 2019, June 30th, 2021. And the other one, Christian Yelich. Christian Yelich, August 29th, 2018, September 17th, 2018, And then again last year, May 11th, 2022. He became, when he did those two in 2018, Yelich became the first player in the live ball era to record multiple cycles against the same team in a single season. And then he did it against the Reds again. So there you go. When he did that, he became when he got his third cycle, he became the fifth player in AL/NL history to complete the feat. So there you go. Yelly being one of those. So that's your Tuesday pop quiz answers. Let's do some sports nuggets of the day brought to you by Ansi Associates. Speaking of the Reds, it was 1869 the Cincinnati Reds played their first baseball game. 1914, the American Horseshoe Pitchers Association was formed in Kansas City. Anybody still throw the horseshoe? I know they got the setup up over there at Carson Park and such. We got 1925, WHAS made the first network broadcast of the Kentucky Derby. 1932, the New York Yankees got their fourth consecutive shutout. The feat tied the record with Cleveland and Boston. Let's go with 1939. The Philadelphia Athletics and the Cleveland Indians met in Philadelphia for the first baseball game. Jesus, chair. Met in Philadelphia for the first baseball game to be played under the lights in the American League. 1954, that was 1939. 1954, Ted Williams got 8 hits in his first game, a doubleheader, back after breaking his collarbone. 65, Jim Palmer made his pitching debut. Craig Luzinski in 1972 hit a home run in which the ball hit the Liberty Bell Monument in Philadelphia's Veterans Stadium. Let's go with Michael Jordan on this day. 1985 was named Rookie of the Year. The Anaheim Mighty Ducks in 2003 defeated the Minnesota Wild 2-1. The win advanced the Mighty Ducks to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in franchise history. Those are just some of your sports nuggets for this morning. How many of you, and I'm guilty of this too, straight up, I'm guilty of this, realize the PGA Championship is set to tee off in just a couple of days? And maybe some of you are just like, I don't care, it's golf, who cares? Or maybe some of you are like, I only care about the Masters. All right. But I'll be honest with you, like yesterday, I'm like, oh, yeah, PGA Championship. That's right. That's coming up here. Okay. The fourth major in professional golf and kind of flying under the radar here a little bit. Tiger ain't in it. He's not in the PGA. He's not on the list. And remember, he just had surgery. Was it a couple weeks ago? A few weeks ago already. So, but yeah, because they've got, I was looking into break, looking at odds and that sort of thing. I'm like, oh yeah, PGA Championship. That's a couple days away right now. Yep, forgot about that. So, if you did, don't worry. I'm one of those as well. So I completely forgot about it. But that's coming up in just a couple of days. So I will make some picks probably on Thursday when intern is in and such. So, but starting tonight, we got the conference finals with the Lakers and the Nuggets. That's the only game in action tonight. And then tomorrow we'll get the Heat and the Boston Celtics in play. Anybody have any interest left in the NBA playoffs right now? Because I'll be honest with you too. My interest is a little bit down. It's a little bit down. Pretty much because there's 3 of the 4 teams. I'm playing my fan card here. There's 3 of the 4 teams. I don't care if they win it or not. I'd rather not see. Lakers, no. Heat, no. Boston, no. Denver would be if I had to hitch my wagon to anybody, it'd be Denver. I'm just being real. Like it's Denver. For I think a lot of the same reasons, probably where a lot of people maybe not cheering for Boston outside of Celtics fans or Lakers fans or Heat fans. Lakers fans, it's whatever. Lakers always there. LeBron, tired of that. Boston, no. rival to the Bucks. No thanks. Heat, no. You ousted the Bucks. No, thank you. Nuggets, sure. Why not? Give them a little bit of limelight and a little bit of glory. Speaking of the Bucks, we've got more names attached, or reported, I should say, to their coaching interviews. So yesterday we talked about Mark Jackson. We talked about Mark Jackson going to be getting an interview, or has interviewed for the Bucks head coaching job. Monty Williams, who was let go by the Phoenix Suns, it was reported yesterday that by the Athletic, Shams over there from the Athletic, that the Bucks are expected to be among the teams to seriously pursue Monty Williams. But Monty Williams, who had $21 million left on his deal, is currently focusing on family in the aftermath of his ouster. So, kind of wondered, would Monty Williams be a target for the Bucks head coaching job? At least according to Shams over there from the Athletic, it sure sounds like the Bucks are very interested in Monty Williams. Other notes on here too is that it looks like the Bucks are going to be interviewing some assistants on here too. It looks like they are going to, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, the Bucks have received permission to interview Phoenix Suns associate head coach Kevin Young. Young is also a candidate with Toronto and is expected to interview with the Suns for their new opening. And the Bucks also received permission to interview Miami Heat assistant Chris Quinn. Quinn has emerged on Eric Spoelstra's staff as a candidate for several recent openings. So, I think if you ask a lot of Bucks fans or NBA fans, if you had to rank, or let me rephrase this, I think if you ask a lot of NBA fans, if you had to power rank or rank all the coaches in the NBA, Eric Spoelstra would be number one for a lot of people. If he's not number one for a lot of people, he's top three, I would have to imagine. Maybe you still got Steve Kerr in there and that, but Eric Spoelstra is got to be towards the top for a lot of people. So the fact that the Bucks, I think, interviewing Eric Spoelstra's probably top assistant, might have quite a few Bucks fans intrigued at that possibility. Could he bring a similar style? Maybe have a little bit of that Miami magic. You got, a Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra kind of tree going on there a little bit. Possibly. Now, Chris Quinn he's a younger man, 39 years old. He has been an assistant with the Heat since 2014. So, he's been an assistant for a long time now. He had a playing career in the NBA from 2006 to about 2011. Played for the Heat, the Nets, and then the Spurs, and then played a little bit overseas, then came back and played for the Cavs in 2013. He played for Notre Dame in college. Also spent some time at Northwestern as an assistant too. But we got Chris Quinn at that list. So initially, this list, this coaching candidate list that the Bucks were putting together, had a lot of retreads, former head coaches. Now, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, overnight or last night, putting out there that now the Bucks may be kind of expanding their search a little bit and bringing in some more assistants, looking to become first-time head coaches into the mix here. And I don't think it's too big of a shock that the Bucks are really kind of broadening their horizons or broadening their search and looking at every corner, every crevice to find their new head coach. And they should be doing it. And I'm sure, as we were saying yesterday a little bit, there's probably still some Bucks fans wondering where and when is the Nick Nurse interview, or when and where is the Becky Hammon interview. Sure, there's a lot of people still asking that. So we might have to do another revisit of the power ranking, not power rankings, but like your number one pick. We did that last Friday with Brandon. If you had to rank the the candidates that have or are reported to have interviewed or will interview with the Bucs for their head coaching job, which would be number one. So you can't have Nick Nurse on there because we haven't seen Adrian or Shams or anybody report it yet. But now that we've got an influx of other players or other coaches, we might have to do another ranking one. Put Monty Williams in there. Or you may not know Chris Quinn, the assistant for the Miami Heat, but I'm sure a lot of fans are like, Miami Heat guy? Yeah, we want that. We want somebody that's worked under Eric Spoelstra. If we can't have Eric Spoelstra, we want Eric Spoelstra's right-hand man, his number one dude. Bring that over. So that's kind of your update on where everything's at with the Bucs coaching search at this point in time. Coming up in an hour from now, we'll talk with RJ Cardinal. We're going to talk obviously we're going to talk some Badger stuff. I was seeing some more, with the football team, Luke Fickell and such, more odds and, dark horse candidates to make the college football playoff. And Wisconsin was on there on one of the lists. It was on CBS Sports. If you want to take a look at it, Wisconsin, a popular pick, I think, for a lot of college football teams to maybe be that dark horse candidate, kind of like a TCU. They were saying, who could be the next TCU type of team. And Wisconsin was a fairly popular pick, and we get it. I think we all understand it. But I also want to talk to him, too, about now it sounds like there's some programs in the ACC possibly maybe leaving. Florida State, Clemson, among 7 ACC schools examining grants of right agreement. And we know, UCLA and USC is going to be coming over to the Big Ten starting next year in 2024. How many conferences are we going to have left in the next, in 10 years? Let's say 10 years from now. How many college conferences are we going to have, you think, in college football right now? If you have more teams leave these conferences and join up, it sure seems like it's kind of trending to 2 major conferences, but I don't see that happening. I think maybe 4. I know you always talk about the Power 5, but could it get trimmed down to the Power 4? Perhaps. I don't know. But we'll hit that up with Mr. RJ coming up in about an hour from now, about 8:20 or so. If you want, send me what's grinding your gears. You can email that to me if you haven't joined our Sports Insiders Club. I'm going to get ready to send that email here shortly. I want to know your Brewers grades after the first quarter of the season. So I'm going to send that email out since our texting line, we're in the middle of transitioning programs here, so we're not able to get text right now. So I'll send that email out, and if you want to join up, you've got 2 minutes. Just head to sportstalk1051.com, sign up, and then you can kind of join our group over there. Surveyor, I don't know if you're listening, man, but you've wanted to get that Reddit page going. This would have been a good time to get that Reddit page going, bro. So got that. Get that up going. So let's take a quick break though, and today, we're going to hear from some Packers assistant coaches. Today is going to be the coordinators, Rich Bisaccia, Joe Barry, and Adam Stenovich. If you could ask, and I think we're going to leave it to Joe Barry here. If you could ask Joe Barry one question in today's presser, what would that question be to the defensive coordinator of this team that is under a big spotlight, more pressure, jobs maybe on the hot seat? What would be that question you would ask Joe Barry, who now has, 8 first-round draft picks on his defense, 9 first-round draft picks on his defense, plus Devondre Campbell and Preston Smith and Rasul Douglas, guys who are getting paid? What would you ask Joe Barry today if you were in that Lambeau Field media room? Think about that and let us know. But we'll take a quick break and we'll talk some green and gold coming up in just a few minutes.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
Price, quality, customer service. That's the big three I look for when I'm looking to get a big project done. And sometimes it can be hard to find all those three in one place. But when it comes to replacing your flooring, one place hits all three of my marks. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. They hit the pricing mark because they will match or beat the competition if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere. Quality is pretty easy because they have all the best and top-of-the-line flooring options that you could ask for. They carry the best brands in carpet, tile, luxury vinyl, and more. And customer service. I could talk to you throughout this entire commercial about their customer service. It's easily one of the best, most courteous, helpful, and friendly staffs you could work with. They're with you through every step of the process, from finding the floor that fits your budget and what looks good and works best in your home or office. Taking on big projects can be a little nervous to think about, but when it comes to replacing your flooring, that nervousness goes away with the help from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Just visit them today at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire and see for yourself.
What's the special today?
Well, I've got half-price geofencing with a side of SEO, double bubble on all PPC, and 50% off all OTT CTV contracts.
Sound familiar when you were looking for marketing options? Are vendors selling you their tactics rather than your solutions? Then let the marketing mixologists at Midwest Family Eau Claire come to the rescue. Midwest Family Eau Claire isn't about hitting their sales quotas. They're about helping you hit yours. Go to MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com today and find out how their integrated marketing solutions make just the right marketing cocktail for you. MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com. Don't let joint pain or an injury keep you from enjoying an active life. Mayo Clinic Health System orthopedics and sports medicine specialists provide examination and treatment options to help get you moving again sooner. Call them today to schedule an appointment. Current patients can also conveniently schedule appointments for orthopedics and sports medicine via the Patient Online Services portal. Why wait? Search Mayo Clinic Health System Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and get started on your journey to recovery.
This is Scott Pasak, owner of Koufax Chevrolet. We have a fantastic selection of vehicles in stock, and if you don't see what you're looking for, we will find it for you. We strive to provide an excellent customer experience, so stop in and see what makes Koufax Chevrolet different. Visit both of our lots in downtown Koufax, and for a buying experience completely online, visit KoufaxChev.com. It's always a fantastic day at Koufax Chevrolet.
Today's job market is full of demand for skilled trade workers. Electricians, welders, mechanics, these and other trades are the backbone of every community. They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National Guard is always fulfilling its mission of service to our country and communities. Soldiers train to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same ones needed in today's civilian workforce. Army National Guard soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Economy Furniture in Chippewa Falls is something that
doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer WetJet. With Swiffer WetJet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer WetJet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
Do you remember all those times playing in the backyard and daydreaming of either playing on your favorite sports team or dreaming about all the goals you wanted to accomplish in life? We still do that today, and that's why we created Backyard Dreams. We want to help people accomplish their goals, chase their passions, and achieve their dreams. Whether someone's dream is to attend a ball game, someone needs a new pair of basketball shoes, or a Little League team needs help going to a tournament, we want to help, and we need your help as well to help help our community. To learn more about Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com.
Have you noticed all the amazing things going on right now with Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity? Right now, they're completing that home build in Boyceville, and we'll be building more in Menominee in the near future. Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity is doing such tremendous work for families in need in our area, and you can join their team and help out. You can volunteer with Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity, whether it's on home builds or repairs or in the restore. They have many different volunteering options for you to help. And another way is just simply shopping and donating at the restore. By your purchases, you're helping fund home builds for families in need, and your donations help keep the inventory stocked at the restore. You too can help families in need in our area. Just visit cvh4h.org to learn more or stop on by at the restore. And if you haven't already, make sure you're following their Facebook page for the latest posts and updates on their home builds and the latest inventory that's available at the restore. All right, for those of you who are a part of our Sports Talk Insiders Club, the email has been sent out to get your grades, your inputs on the Brewers with the first quarter of the season in the books. So check your inboxes and hit me back with those emails, since our texting line is down for just a little bit here. So, all right, let's move to a little football chat. The question I posed before we went into break here with some of the coordinators scheduled to talk today for the Green Bay Packers. That's Rich Bisaccia, that's Joe Barry, that's Adam Stunovich. If you could ask one question to Mr. Joe Barry, who's on the hot seat, under the spotlights, what would that question be? You can also include that in the email back if you'd like. So, Joe, you are part of the media group today at the Lambeau Field Media Room. If you could ask Joe Barry one question today, what would that question be?
What did he see on film going into the Minnesota game last year to come out with the defense that he came out with on Justin Jefferson? So what was the actual specific goal that he was trying to achieve with how he played defense that day and how he called that game? And again, we all remember that Justin Jefferson absolutely torched the Packers last year in Minnesota, and a large part of that was again just running free in the secondary. So I'd like to ask him again, what did he see? What was the goal? What was he trying to accomplish that day with that defense? And again, this is a defense that went through, a lot of ups and downs during the year, and they started off very flat and on a bad foot, got better towards the end of the season. But again, what did he see at the beginning of the year to make him want to go with that defense?
Joe, before we kind of get into some of the important Packers, the Packers did bring in a safety, the husband of Simone Biles, Mr. Owens over there. Your thoughts on the signing, and what does that mean potentially for Adrian Amos coming back?
It's interesting, Captain, because one of the things you look at with the safeties that they brought in this year, and again, no big name safeties, of course, but one of the things you look at, and it was true in the draft as well, but they went out and got guys that are more sure tacklers. And when you look at Pro Football Focus and some of the numbers that they have on these guys that they brought in, there really truly has been a focus on less missed tackles. And I think, you see that trend coming in here. And again, do you need the splash player at safety, or do you want someone who's just going to be consistent and make sure that they get there and make that surefire tackle? And so I thought this was a great signing. Wouldn't surprise me at all if he ends up starting back there. And so I thought it was one of those under the radar types of signings that could pay dividends. And again, I just look at what's happening with this secondary, and specifically the safety position, because it just seems to me that Green Bay is looking to stop the big play, stop the run, make sure that they bring the guy down. And again, I love this pick. I equate this again, whether it be a Devondre Campbell, whether it be a Rasul Douglas, this is one of those under the radar things, like I said, that could pay huge dividends down the road. I love it. I thought when you watch this guy on film, and I got a chance to watch some of it yesterday, he just is the way he reads and diagnoses, and the way that he's able to come up from the secondary and make an open field tackle is very impressive. If you get a chance, again, I think it's fun to watch him, and it just is kind of a cool thing when you really start breaking down the film and seeing what some of these guys can do. So that's kind of what I'm going with, is the fact that, all right, they're getting a type because they want to make sure that they're going to bring the running back, the wide receiver down. And I think Owens is one of those types of players.
Hey, would you think that Amos is probably gone then too? Probably not coming back.
You know what? It's interesting, Captain, because the Green Bay let go of the safety, I believe Wiggins, who they signed in January, and they had given him the number 31. And so, when they did that, I thought, well, there's still a chance that if they don't like what they see, and Amos is still, maybe, in June when some of these other players are out there too, with June cuts, maybe you do get a bargain basement deal with him. It wouldn't surprise me either way. It wouldn't surprise me if Amos comes back. It also wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't. But the fact that 31 is still available, and they cut the kid who they had just given that jersey number 2, that tells me that maybe Green Bay is still keeping their options open there. So again, wouldn't surprise me either way. I'd put money on him not returning. But at this point, it depends on what they see out of some of these younger guys, Owens in the draft class and that type of thing, to see what they need at that position.
Would you say there's probably less likely of return now after a tweet that Mason Crosby is coming back to Green Bay from the now deleted tweet from his wife?
Unfortunately, I think Mason's wife let the cat out of the bag as far as, the Packers' intentions. And I'm sure that, the Packers representatives have had some level of conversation with Crosby to intimate that at this point in time, his career in Green Bay is done. And again, you never know, though, when you start getting into training camp and you start seeing guys in game situations and getting to know them a little bit more, than maybe what you saw on film from college tape isn't necessarily the truth. And so I wouldn't rule it out, but again, I highly doubt that Mason Crosby comes back. And yeah, very interesting how that news got released from Mason's wife on Twitter, talking about the end of the line for Mason Crosby and the Green Bay Packers.
I think I was talking about it yesterday. I think it's something that's kind of gone under the radar, the stability that Green Bay, we talk about the quarterbacks of Favre and Rodgers, but you look at what they've had at kicker since 1989. Ryan Longwell never missed a game. Mason Crosby never missed a game. Chris Jackie missed a couple games. I think it was a 95. And then outside of, no offense to Dave Rayner, that's it that they've had for especially in today's age with the NFL, to have that stability at the kicking position. I think it's right up there for the stability with the quarterback position. I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Oh, I when I saw you tweet that out, and I had to laugh with the Dave Rayner comment. Yeah, it does strike you. And look, when you look at the Green Bay Packers and you look at talking about home field advantage, you need a kicker who can kick in that type of weather. And all three of those guys you mentioned were great in clutch times and those types of weather. So yeah, I agree with you. The stability at that position. And one of the things I think you and I talked about this off season was, I would have probably made a run to bring Crosby back, because with a young quarterback like Jordan Love, and if you can, there's going to be times when drives stall. There just is. And so if you have a clutch kicker who could put points on the board, I think that is a huge advantage for a young quarterback. It's a huge advantage for any quarterback, but I do think specifically for a young one. So a little bit surprised, but again, this is all about, and you and I have talked about it, whether you want to call it a reload, rebuild, reignite, whatever you want to do. This is about, again, building this team back up for the future, seeing what they can do in 2023, and then building this team for future success. And so, in that regard, when you look at it that way, Crosby just doesn't fit what they're looking for. But yeah, it was an interesting way to find out that Mason more than likely not coming back to the Green Bay Packers.
Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning, chatting a little green and gold. Joe's going to be starting a countdown of the most important critical coaches, players for the next few weeks here for this upcoming season for Green Bay. And today, start off at number 10, Joseph. So who do you think is the 10th most important Packers player or coach critical to their 2023 success? They'll give you the honors. Who's number 10?
I thought about this long and hard, and I started putting together the list over the last couple of days. And I'm going to start with number 10, and some might even put him higher, but I'm going to start with Keyshawn Nixon. And when you look at what he did in the return game last year, and again, talk about a young quarterback, changing the field position, those types of things, creating short drives, that's going to be a huge advantage. And so you look at him from a punt return standpoint, 11 for 140, but you look at the kick returns, and that's really where he shined. 35 for 1,009 yards, a TD, almost a 29-yard return average. And when you look at, again, when you study special teams and you look at what the success ratio is of drives that start at certain points of the field versus other drives, that can really put Jordan Love in a successful position this year if he's got short drives. Now, again, I don't know if Keyshawn Nixon is going to be the primary punt returner. I think he is obviously going to be the primary kickoff returner, but also he is getting there has been talk, and he is getting some reps at that star position, that slot position right now, because that's the position on the Joe Barry defense that is really highlighted. And when you've got Eric Stokes coming back from an injury and you don't know where he's going to be, right now Rasul Douglas is the outside corner, Jair Alexander the outside corner. So not only in the return game, not only in that critical third phase of the game, offense, defense, special teams, but I think you're going to see Keyshawn Nixon maybe a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball. And so when I look at critical to success, and just so you know, I've got mostly players in my top 10, but I do have a mix of coaches in there because I think this year coaching is going to be paramount at a couple of key positions on that football team. But again, I think Keyshawn Nixon, I put him in at 10, and again, I went back and forth and thought about this. And again, I think for Green Bay to be successful and for Jordan Love to be successful, if he can play with a short field more often than not, again, the numbers play it out, Captain, because when you look at this from a very logical, practical number perspective, the better field position you have to start a drive, the better chance you have to score on that drive. So, yeah, I say Keyshawn Nixon, especially on special teams, but also he may be one of those guys on defense that Green Bay relies on specifically in that slot star position.
How much do you buy that? I know he was having a little fun with it last year. Nixon saying, "Hey, I want to play an offense." And Matt LaFleur, I think, said at the coach's breakfast, "Hey, you might see Nixon on offense a little bit this year." How much do you buy that we're actually going to see him on offense this year? Maybe a couple plays here or there, trick plays sort of thing?
Maybe, but you know what? Green Bay needs to get their wide receivers more reps. And so, with that young wide receiver group that they've got right now, I think every rep that the actual wide receivers can get out there, I think is going to be beneficial. And so, could it be a trick play here and there? Sure. Am I buying that Keyshawn Nixon is going to be part of the regular offensive install? No, not at all. And so, again, I think even more so because of the fact that they're counting on him more from a defensive standpoint too, potentially, I think you're going to minimize that risk. And that's also why I look at, you might find someone else at punt returns. And even though I thought Nixon did a really nice job at punt returns, I think everyone would agree his area of excellence is kickoff returns. And it does take a different skill set. And so, yeah, I would minimize the risk. If he truly is your star cornerback playing that slot position to start the year and then doing kickoff returns, I would really minimize his offense and also probably his punt returns at that point too. I just think it's critical to get Jordan Love in plus situations, and field position is a big way to do that.
I know Jordan Love talked to the media for the first time as quarterback number 1 last week. I'm sure you watched it and listened to it. Did anything kind of stand out to you listening to Jordan Love talk for the first time as QB number 1 last week?
The poise, the comfort with being in that position. Look, I don't care what level you're at, and as you know, I coach high school football, and my area of coaching is I coach the quarterbacks, and there is a certain amount of making sure that he's the man, all right, and that there is a leadership type of an approach to it. And what I thought last week with Jordan Love is he's very comfortable, and again, we haven't seen a lot of him, so just because he's comfortable at the microphone doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be able to read, a cover 2 and a cover 1 and where the blitz is coming from. But I thought he looked very comfortable playing the role of, I'm QB1. I'm very confident in my ability, and I feel good about where I am today. And so I thought that's the number one thing that stood out to me was this is a guy that at this point in time is comfortable being QB1. And again, time will tell, and we'll see what the season plays out. But at least in that presser, I thought he handled himself very well in being the man.
Yeah, that was the kind of the main thing that stood out to me too. He just seemed very poised, and like you, and I agree with you too. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a great quarterback. I mean, I know people were ridiculing Matt LaFleur on his introductory press conference, and I don't think that really has anything to do with coaching football, or anything like that either. So, but yeah, he just seemed really comfortable up there. And I thought one thing too that I really, kind of stood out to me was when he said, I got to be afraid or not afraid to make mistakes and know when to maybe check down the ball instead of going for it all the time and that sort of thing. And it just sure seems like Tom Clements has had a really good positive influence on him in this past year.
Yeah, I think that's and you talk about coaches that are going to make a difference this year. And I think Clements, coming on, obviously everyone knew what the work that he did with Aaron. But I think you can't minimize the improvement you saw in Jordan Love last year. And the credit that needs to go to Tom Clements. And one of the things that I love about Clements, he's a footwork guy. All right. So one of his coaching mantras and kind of the staples of his coaching pillars is that footwork part of the quarterback position, which I think is so critical. It is so critical. And I think you saw last year, Jordan Love improve leaps and bounds with his footwork. And so, no one can discount the Tom Clements effect. And there are just certain positions when you look at from a coaching standpoint that are so critical. And I think quarterback coach is really one of them. And so, I think Clements being there. And again, want to give a little bit to LaFleur too, because obviously he's got that quarterback background as well. But I think when you've got that guy, that confidant that's on the sidelines with you, breaking down what you're seeing, I just think that's going to help Jordan Love in his first year as the starter and QB1 on a regular basis. So, it's really, again, I think you can't put enough emphasis on having a good quarterback coach when you've got a young quarterback starting out their first season as QB1.
Joseph, appreciate the time as always, buddy. Next week, looking forward to seeing who you got at number 9 on your list, sir. So we'll chat with you then. Okay, bud? Have a good rest of your week.
All right, bro. You too, brother. Have a good one.
You too. There you go. There's Joe joining us here this morning. We got to take a quick break here and finish up the second hour. Grades are due. What would you grade from what you've seen from the Milwaukee Brewers so far this year? Hit me up with that email, Twitter, Facebook, video stream. We'll be back.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
Suffer a sports injury or know someone who has and you don't know who to turn to? Rely on the experience of the sports medicine team at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. When you experience any sports-related injury or issue, you could count on Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine on prompt, proper diagnosis and customized treatment plans to meet your goals. When it comes to getting back on the field of play, get back on there with the best team in the area. Request an appointment with Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine today by visiting cvosm.com.
Keep your spring showers hot with a new water heater from Hurlburt Heating and Plumbing. Extended through May, when you purchase a new furnace and air conditioner from Hurlburt, you'll get a free water heater. Consultations are always free, and interest-free financing is available too. Give us a call or visit us online at hurlburthp.com for more information. That's hurlburthp.com.
Get ready to save half with half-off deals. It's a great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, May 19th, with Stamatic of Western Wisconsin. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
All aboard! The Eau Claire Express are back. They're taking the field once again this summer, and you can support Eau Claire Express baseball at historic Carson Park all summer long. General admission tickets and grandstand tickets are available, and you can check out the rest of the 2023 Express schedule at eauclairexpress.com or on their Facebook page. Enjoy summer baseball with the Eau Claire Express.
Next up, Straight Talk from Doug. Ever notice that saying no offense is offensive? Like, no offense, but you're overpaying for your wireless. See? Offensive.
That's the Straight Talk talking. Get unlimited plans as low as $35 a month from Straight Talk on America's most reliable 5G network. Available at Walmart and walmart.com. On the $35 plan, first 10 gigabytes data at high speed, then 2G speeds. Refer to the latest terms at straighttalk.com. Based on most first-place rankings, root metrics, second half 2022 assessments of 125 metros. Experiences vary, not an endorsement.
What's something you can't get for $18.99? Enough soil for your new garden. What's something you can get for $18.99? A month of unlimited car washes at Clean and Classy. Something you can't do in 5 minutes? Plant your new garden. Something you can do in 5 minutes? Get rid of springtime grime at Clean and Classy on West Claremont and off Hastings on Brackett Avenue. Wash your car more than once a month? A monthly pass is going to save you money. Make your car clean and classy.
You want to feel important.
You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong.
We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more.
When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it.
We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors.
From the lakeshores of Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
The fertile fields of Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa to the wide open plains of North and South Dakota.
We are here for our hometowns.
And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
As a roofer, I'm always on the go. So I need to be able to get things done from anywhere. That's why I partner with Beacon. With the new Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips. It's like having my Beacon rep in my pocket 24/7. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Now through June, purchase through Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $1,500. Beacon, always building.
The latest sports news, scores, opinion, and commentary. If that's not enough, you should seek professional help. The Dan Kasper Show.
Grilling season is here. Brats, burgers, steaks, ribs, whatever is on your menu for the summer, there's one place in the Chippewa Valley you need to take a visit, and that's Mike's Star Market. Especially when it comes to brats, Mike's Star Market has the area's best and widest selection of brats. So when you visit Mike's to pick out your selection of brats, though, may we suggest the Man Cave Light and the Dill Pickle with Cheddar Brats, the newest and best flavors at Mike's Star Market. Best time of the year is here, baby. Visit Mike's Star Market so you are the backyard barbecue king this summer, 2023 summer. We got Joe chiming in with the email with some Brewers grades. As long as the last night was a fluke, I'm going B. They started out as an A and then went through a stretch of C, D ball, but still sit on top of the division. Another name, I'm not sure who this is. Don't want to assume there's no name attached to it. But grade the Brewers, I would give them a C for the quarter. Keep it simple. The offense gets a C+, defense B, pitching a D. The pundits thought the pitching staff was possibly the best in Major League Baseball. I'm assuming you mean starting pitching staff, and it's more average at its best. 18 runs for the last place team in the Central. Come on, guys, and put up 1 run. Jeez. Usually they play above their grade the first 2/3 or 3/4 of the season, then fall apart. This year they accomplished both in the first quarter of the season, and I would not place money in having a stellar last 3/4 of the season. I say they missed the playoffs. So sounds like somebody isn't too high on the Brewers right now. To be fair to the Cardinals, I would not to back the Cardinals or anything. They have been playing a lot better as of late, especially heading into that game. They had won 6 of their last 7, I believe. And I know it was Boston and such coming off that series, but still, they've been playing better. Still no excuse to put up or allow 18 runs on the Brewer side of things. So, but you can check your emails and see if you are a part of the Sports Insider Club, and you can send me back your grades that way. Coming up next hour, we'll catch up with Mr. R.J. Cardinal at about 8:20. We'll catch up on some of the stuff going down in Badgerland and across college sports. We'll hit him up at about 8:20, 8:25 this morning. Our Kraken losing last night 2-1 to the Stars. So the Stars moving on. Second year though for the Kraken, making the postseason, making a run there. Future's looking. We're looking good right now. Let's keep building on that success, huh? Yeah. We got a couple days yet until some more Stanley Cup playoff games. Thursday we'll get Florida taking on Carolina in their series, game 1, and then after that we've got Dallas taking on Vegas for the right to go play in the Stanley Cup final. So, then we got the NBA playoffs conference finals beginning tonight. Lakers, Nuggets. I don't know if too many people who are really amped up for the postseason, for rest of the postseason for the NBA playoffs. If I had to pick a team to roll with, just to have a rooting interest in it, I'm going with the Nuggets. No offense to, not a Lakers fan, not a LeBron fan. Respect LeBron's game, one of the best of all time. But I want something new. No Celtics, Boston, no Boston Celtics. They're a rival of the Bucks. Heat, you ousted the Bucks. I don't want you in it either. So I'm going with the Nuggets. So that's what I got. All right, we just got about a minute or two left. If you got anything that's grinding your gears, it is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. You can send those on over, whether it's on email. Hit me up, Dan at sportstalk1051.com, Twitter, DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. You can hit us up over there too. So coming up just past 8 o'clock, we'll get back to a little bit more Brewers talk. We got some more grades that are coming in, so we'll hit those up. Brewers taking on the Cardinals game 2 tonight. Wade Miley on the mound. Can he bounce back from his previous performance, his last performance, which was against the Dodgers? You're looking at the pitching, matchup and the hitting lineup going up against Wade Miley. A lot of those hitters have had some some good success against Wade and Miley throughout their careers. So who's got the advantage tonight? Cardinals and that lineup, or the Brewers with Wade and Miley looking to bounce back? We'll preview that coming up here in just a couple minutes as well. But keep those grades coming with the first quarter officially closed for the Milwaukee Brewers season. Put your teacher's cap on, get your grade books out, and send us over some grades. You can do it individual players. You want to do the whole team, offense, defense. It's open-ended, whatever you'd like to do. 2 in. We got one more to go. Stick around. We'll be back in just a couple minutes after these quick news updates for the final hour on this Tuesday morning.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. From the 715 Newsroom, it's Morgan McCarthy with your news on Sports Talk 105.1.
Oh, good morning. The wheels of justice have turned, and we start with the courts in a gavel drop. 101 years in prison for the Minnesota man who dumped 4 bodies in Dunn County in 2021. With 715 Newsroom coverage, John DeMaster.
A judge in St. Paul yesterday sentenced Antoine Suggs to just over a century behind bars for the murders of the 4. Police never gave a motive, but witnesses told investigators that Suggs says he snapped and shot 4 people. The 4 bodies were found in an SUV in the town of Sheridan. Police later said they were killed in Minnesota, which is why Suggs was tried in St. Paul. I'm John DeMaster.
Turning attention to Mother Nature, there's a warning about high or very high fire danger for just about everyone north of Highway 29. Wisconsin DNR issuing a fire weather watch for a northern third of our state. DNR saying warm temps, dry brush, and some winds all made for a dangerous combination, and they're asking people not to burn brush and to suspend all prescribed fires until next week. Wisconsin has seen nearly 300 wildfires so far this year. When it comes to the ballpark, a former Wisconsin Republican lawmaker is going to bat, saying there's a statewide benefit to keeping the Brewers ballpark. Former state senator Dan Kasper wrote an op-ed yesterday that said keeping the Brewers in Wisconsin will help the state's tax base as well as provide baseball memories for everyone who enjoys the game. The Brewers are looking to state lawmakers to help pay for at least $300 million in renovations and maintenance at AmFam Field. Some support at the Capitol, but many lawmakers outside of the Milwaukee metro area not too keen on sending state dollars to a stadium that they say doesn't help their folks back home. They say it's an ongoing discussion. Well, we're at the Capitol. Let's count those pennies. Wisconsin going to have slightly less money to spend over the next 2 years. Legislative Fiscal Bureau yesterday said tax revenue is expected to dip by $755 million over the next 2 years, taking Wisconsin's record budget surplus to just under $7 billion. Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu said the news is not surprising, and he blamed President Biden's policies for inflation and the downturn in Wisconsin. Still, said Wisconsin is in better financial shape than other states. Right now, lawmakers are writing that new state budget and deciding just how to spend some of that surplus. And congrats and welcome to the world. 5 little bundles set a record at HSH's Sacred Heart Hospitals. On Mother's Day, there were 5 babies born, the first one at 6:40 a.m. The last one arrived to make a mom at 8:52 p.m. And you can see all those little bundles online. Kind of a neat local story, 715newsroom.com. And hey, just call it a lab cab. A Colorado man was reportedly trying to blame his dog for, no, not the smell, to get out of a DUI.
Police in Springfield say the man was pulled over for speeding, but as the officer approached his vehicle, the man got out of the passenger side and claimed he wasn't driving after switching places with his dog. Authorities say the man tried to run away after the officer asked if he had been drinking, but he only got about 20 yards and was arrested. I'm Mark Mayfield.
You know, Casper kind of wiping the eyes this morning, pretty tired. I came in here and Bacardi was sitting at the mic. I said, Casper, what's with
switching places with his dog?
Maybe it'll work. For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
Today will essentially be a repeat offender of yesterday, as we'll have plenty of sunshine to take us through the day and temperatures climbing to the upper 70s and low 80s. A cold front moves through, shifting our winds out of the north later on, and that'll give us a night in the 40s, mostly into the mid to upper 40s. Otherwise, another cooler but sunny day tomorrow with highs climbing to the low to mid 70s. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Mike D'Andrea.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
Let me ask you something. Did you name your firstborn after a football player?
Hell yes.
Did you spend your honeymoon going to a football game?
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
Do you spend most of your free time hanging out in your man cave?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
If you answered yes to all the above, then you, my friend, are a serious sports fan just like Dan.
Yes!
This is exactly where you belong. Sports talking and BSing is what we do best.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep!
So rise and grind, people, because the Dan Kasper Show is on the air.
You serious, Clark?
Right now.
Showtime! Woo!
Third and final hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning. Appreciate y'all tuning in wherever you're tuning in from. The heck was that noise? That was a weird noise, background noise there. All right, we got weird. I swear this studio is haunted. I got stories on this thing, but anyways, Brewers getting ready for game 2, hopefully bouncing back from that performance from last night. We're going to hit that up here in a second. But a little housekeeping note. Don't forget, we've got a few spots opened up for early bird registration for the 3rd annual Kasper Classic with the morning and the afternoon sessions. Your 2-person team, August 4th, Princeton Valley. Head to sportstalk1051.com to get your team, 2-person team, signed up to reserve your spot, because the first 2 years we have sold out of that thing. So you want to make sure you get your team in. So we opened up just a few, not all, just a few early bird spots to secure, so you can secure your team. Again, just head to sportstalk1051.com. It's right at the top on the left-hand side. You'll see that icon there. Click on that, and you'll be able to reserve your team on there. Big thanks to Hy-Vee, our presenting sponsor, Hy-Vee. Food sponsor over there, too, because they're going to be doing the food like they did last year. Comfort City Flooring Center. Economy Furniture also on there too. So big thanks to all of our sponsors. And if you're interested in sponsoring, maybe for some raffle prize or anything like that, hit me up. Let me know. It's all benefiting Backyard Dreams, our wonderful, fantastic cause over there too. So also this weekend, don't forget, if you're in the golfing mood, you got the 2nd annual Miracle League golf outing that's going on at Pine Meadow, the 2nd annual golf outing, benefiting the Miracle League of the Chippewa Valley. We actually had Grayson, a youngster, stop by the studio yesterday as a player for the Miracle League. So it was great to meet Grayson and his dad too. So thanks, guys, for stopping by. That was awesome. But the golf outing for this Saturday at Pine Meadow, registration 9 a.m., shotgun start at 10 a.m. Got the tailgate lunch, raffles and prizes, even a 10K hole-in-one challenge on there. So you can find more info. Just look them up on Facebook, the Miracle League of Chippewa Valley, of the Chippewa Valley. All right, let's talk a little more Brewers before we get to Mr. RJ Cardinal coming up here. Brew Crew, game 2 of their series with the Cardinals tonight. Oh, we got a couple grades I wanted to get to here. Jeff emailing saying B. They have started out better than expected. Long way to go. Mark, I'd say so far so good. So I'd guess that's a B+ overall, considering expectations going into the season. But what happens between now and the end of May with the schedule they face will tell the tale. Looking at tonight's game, you got Jordan Montgomery going on the mound for the Cardinals. And yes, that means the Brewers going up against another left-handed pitcher. Montgomery, in his last 3 games, he's 0-2. He's coming off of a loss against the Cubs back on the 10th, where he went 5 innings, gave up 6 earned runs on 7 hits. Game before that, the Tigers, 6 innings and a no decision, 2 earned runs. And then he picked up a loss against the Dodgers on the 29th, but he went 6 2/3 and gave up just 1 earned run. One of those performances we've all seen before, right? Pitcher doesn't pitch like a losing pitcher, but gets charged with the loss. Wade Miley, on the other hand, He's coming off of that game against the Dodgers where was probably his poorest game so far this year, otherwise on a pretty darn good start to his season. But back on the 10th, went 5 innings, giving up 7 earned runs. Game before that against the Rockies, he went 6 innings and a no decision, 3 earned runs, and another no decision against the Angels, where he went 6 innings and given up just 1 earned run. When you look at this matchup in terms of the lineup going up against these starting pitchers, if you're a Brewers fan, like me, I'm a little nervous. Wade Miley going up against Nolan Arenado, and has favored Nolan Arenado quite a bit. Like all the time, it almost feels like 23 at-bats, 391. Contreras, 25 at-bats, 360. Goldschmidt, 16 at-bats, 500, including a couple of home runs. Carlson, 11 at-bats, 455. So, yeah. Some of the main hitters, some of the offensive players for the Cardinals have had some good career numbers against good old Wade Miley. Then on the flip side, this Brewers lineup going up against Montgomery. We know the Brewers the last couple of years have struggled against left-handed pitching. Montgomery is a left-handed pitcher. Do we have anything to be confident about with this lineup going up against him? I mean, Mike Brasso is 278 and 18 at-bats. He's got the most at-bats against him. Willie Adames, 215 at-bats. Caratini is 600, but just 5 at-bats. Same as Contreras, 400, but 5 at-bats. Tellez and 167 and 6 at-bats. And Christian Yelich is 0, 0, 0, and 9 at-bats, but an RBI on there. So, I mean, I don't know. It sure seems like the numbers show that it favors the Cardinals tonight. That it's, pitching-wise, kind of favors the Cardinals a little bit. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the Brewers can't hit left-handed pitching again, so you factor that in. And then you look at Wade Miley going up against that lineup, a lineup that features a lot of players that have had success against Wade Miley. Hate to say it, but it looks like it favors the Cardinals here a little bit for game 2. Yeah. So we'll see. First pitch, 6:45. You can catch that game right on Sports Talk 105.1 FM and 790 AM. But hopefully the numbers prove us wrong tonight if you are a Brewers fan. Hopefully they prove us wrong. Hopefully it'll be the bounce back of Wade Miley after that game against the Dodgers, and they'll be able to get that one tonight. And hopefully, too, we don't nothing is seriously wrong with Christian Yelich. He was pulled from the game later on in the game, and Craig Counsell did say that his back has been kind of tight, a little bit tight here. But hopefully it was more so like the game was just kind of out of reach at that point, and, no use in throwing him out there and, putting him out there for no good reason at that point. But the Brewers, I think they've got the right mindset. If you listen to some of the comments that they said after the game, especially like from Craig Counsell, they know this is a big May series because they're kind of using, last year's experience at this where tiebreakers and that sort of thing. It comes into play. We saw it last year. There's just reading a little bit here, Craig Counsell. I think going through this last year a little bit, we did learn at the end of last year that the tiebreaker matters. I don't think you could plan your season around a tiebreaker, but we know that these games matter from that perspective. When we play them on the schedule, you don't control that. That's the schedule. But I do think you try to put your best foot forward in these division games against these teams that you feel like will be there in the end. And here's the thing, too. The next time the Brewers face the Cardinals after this series, it won't be until September. Think about that. It won't be until September until we see Brewers Cardinals again. At that point, I mean, that's past the trade deadline. That's going into like the final month of the season, and they face the Cardinals for 2 series in September. You got 4 in St. Louis and then 3 in Milwaukee. So, I mean, if you're talking about tiebreakers already, and I know people are like, well, this is the last place team in the Cardinals. Don't count them out yet. And I don't think the Brewers are counting them out. Like Craig Counsell said, I think it's a good baseball team that just went through a rough patch, talking about the Cardinals in the beginning part of their season. But think about this, the next time after this that we will be talking about a Brewers and Cardinals series won't be until September. And you don't want to get into a situation where, you know, maybe you're trying to chase the Cardinals or something like that. Because the easiest way to make up ground on them is playing them. That's what we were kind of getting into last year. You win these series, and if it does come to those tie-breaking scenarios, you have a limited amount of games. I'm just kind of looking at the Brewers. You know, after this St. Louis series, their next division team is Cincinnati to begin in June. Then they got Pittsburgh. Then they have the Cubs for July 4th. And Cincinnati again a little bit on there. And Pittsburgh. Man, just seems weird that won't play them again until September. And that might be, you know, depending on how things kind of transpire at that time, that might be a pretty darn too big series in terms of playoff stuff. It's not beginning of September either. It's the end of September. September 18th through the 21st and September 26th through the 28th. Oof. Hopefully the Cardinals are still down in the division at that point, but who knows, right? So, again, first pitch tonight, 6:45. Tomorrow night will be 6:45. And then tomorrow you got Corbin Burns making the start for the Crew. Adam Wainwright is scheduled to get the start for the Brewers too. But we'll preview that game tomorrow. Let's take it one game at a time here and take it there. A few more grades coming in. Pretty much it looks like the majority of you saying B. I mean, a lot of you just replying back with your letter grade, which is fine. It is perfectly fine. But a lot of you just going with B. Got a couple B pluses and one B minus, but it looks like, yeah, just kind of going through and doing some mental math here. It looks like the average is about a B. That a lot of you are kind of chiming in here. I know G-Man had also sent in a little bit earlier. He went with where was it? I'm Brewers a B with the injuries that they've had, and plus G-Man's got another jersey too. 105. His daughter got him a Kraken jersey. Lucky man right there, G-Man. So, all right. Before we get to RJ, if you are a Hoops fan, I know we were talking a little bit about the postseason beginning tonight, but it is also draft lottery tonight. It is the draft lottery tonight if you are into that sort of thing. So we'll see how the ping pong balls play out for the lottery tonight. But I used to get into that when I was a kid, when I was into like 90s hoops. Like I loved watching something like that. Now it's just like, yeah, whatever. I don't need this. They drag it out like everything in sports. They drag it all out. But we'll see who gets the number one pick here. Trying to. Oh, okay. Yeah, we got these representatives for each team here. Okay. Yeah. Everybody throws it out there. So, because who's the 7'4" kid that is it Wema? I can never say his name. Wema Bama. I completely butchered it. I apologize, but he's like going to be the number one overall pick. So the Pistons, Rockets, and Spurs all have a 14% chance of landing the number 1 overall pick. Hornets, 12.5. Blazers, 10.5% chance. All right, let's talk some college sports here. Let's talk a little, obviously, some Badger stuff going on down in Madtown. What's the latest in Badger country? We'll bring in RJ Cardinal. Plus, are we going to see some more colleges leaving their conferences? What will college football and conferences look like in, say, 10 years? Will we have Power 5s, or will it be like a Power 4? What will it kind of look like? Let's discuss with RJ. So we'll take that break, and then coming up in just a couple minutes here, we'll bring in our Badger analyst, Mr. RJ Cardinal, after these few words.
180! The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Now that we've gotten some decent weather, we're now more active outside, mowing the lawn, golfing, working on completing some projects. But with all that, that also means you're probably getting a little sore in the back, neck, and shoulders. It sounds like you need a quick adjustment, which means it's time to go visit Dr. Logan at Shepke Chiropractic. With us all being more active this time of year, chances are that we're going to need a few adjustments to our neck and back. That's why at Shepke Chiropractic, their goal is to work with each patient to achieve their goals and perform to their fullest potential in the capacity that their life requires. So don't let your neck or back pain slow you down on your busy summer. Let Shepke Chiropractic help you get adjusted so you're able to get those rounds of golf in or complete those outdoor projects this year. And Shepke Chiropractic has 2 locations to better serve you. All you have to do is visit ShepkeChiropractic.com to learn more and to schedule your appointment. Your journey to a healthier and more fulfilling life starts at Shepke Chiropractic.
All aboard! The Eau Claire Express are back. They're taking the field once again this summer, and you can support Eau Claire Express baseball at historic Carson Park all summer long. General admission tickets and grandstand tickets are available, and you can check out the rest of the 2023 Express schedule at eauclairexpress.com or on their Facebook page. Enjoy summer baseball with the Eau Claire Express.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer Wet Jet. With Swiffer Wet Jet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer Wet Jet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
ECCT proudly presents Trail to Oregon at the Oxford, May 18th through the 21st. Everyone's favorite childhood video game comes to life on stage in this audience participation musical. Follow our All-American family as they travel the trail from Missouri to Oregon, just like in the game, and you get to pick their names and decide who survives the journey. Rated R for more mature audiences due to adult language and situations. Get your tickets now. Call 839-8877 or go to ECCT.org.
What's something you can't get for $18.99? Enough soil for your new garden. What's something you can get for $18.99? A month of unlimited car washes at Clean and Classy. Something you can't do in 5 minutes? Plant your new garden. Something you can do in 5 minutes? Get rid of springtime grime at Clean and Classy on West Claremont and off Hastings on Brackett Avenue. Wash your car more than once a month? A monthly pass is going to save you money. Make your car clean and classy. What's something you can't get for $18.99? Enough soil for your new garden. What's something you can get for $18.99? A month of unlimited car washes at Clean and Classy. Something you can't do in 5 minutes? Plant your new garden. Something you can do in 5 minutes? Get rid of springtime grime at Clean and Classy on West Claremont and off Hastings on Brackett Avenue. Wash your car more than once a month? A monthly pass is going to save you money. Make your car clean and classy.
You want to feel important.
You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong.
We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more.
When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it.
We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors.
From the lakeshores of Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota,
The fertile fields of Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa, to the wide open plains of North and South Dakota.
we are here for our hometowns.
And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
A lot of folks around here are breathing easier because of Grace Home Respiratory. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory is a local company that puts customer service first. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory provides an array of medical equipment, services, and supplies to help their recovery and enhance their quality of life. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory has the experience and qualifications that exceed their expectations. So when you need home medical equipment and services, turn to Grace Home Respiratory not only for the equipment you need, but for their dedicated staff of respiratory therapists who are on call 24 hours a day. To find out more, call Grace Home Respiratory at 715-832-7377 or online at ghr-ec.com.
Grace Home Respiratory always has your health and safety as their top priority. Your expert when it comes to medical equipment and supplies. Choose Grace Home Respiratory.
I'd like to get real with you for a moment. All across the country and even in our town, there are people who have to go without. Perhaps even you, having to go without being able to hear parts of the Dan Kasper Show. It's tragic, but there is help. You can listen to segments from Dan's show and new content on the Man Cave podcast. Check it out for yourself on your favorite podcasting platform.
What's on your summer project to-do list for this 2023 summer? Maybe one of it is doing some home renovations, some homework, maybe replacing some of the floors in your home. Need some new carpet, need some new tile, whatever it may be. Head on over to Wisconsin's premier flooring store, Carpet City Flooring Center right here in Eau Claire. We're getting some, we're going to be getting some new flooring down in the Man Cave. So that's going to be a nice little update down in the Man Cave. We'll keep you posted and updated on the progress and a little bit of a makeover that we got going on with that. So, but if you're in the game for looking for some new floors, whether it's for your own Man Cave, maybe your living room or bedroom or anything like that, check out Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire and take a visit with the fantastic team over there. Jason, Aaron, Ben, the entire staff over there, just really awesome people to work with. So make sure you stop on over there for any summer projects that have to do with updating your flooring game. Let's talk a little college football here this morning. We got RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst, joining us here this morning. So, RJ, I kind of want to lead things off a little bit differently here. I'm sure you saw the nugget or the news article out there about, Florida State and Clemson among 7 ACC schools examining grant of rights agreements per reports out there. So, could we see potentially some more teams moving around or going to different conferences? I want to ask you this, RJ. Say we're moving forward 10 years from now. How do you think the conferences will look like in college football? You got the Power Fives and all that. I mean, they will get down to a Power Four or anything like that. How do you think these conferences are going to look like in 10 years if you had to make a prediction right now?
It's going to look drastically different. Judging by the ACC now, where you have UNC, NC State, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Florida State, and Miami, all now looking to see the viability of getting out of, the rights there for the TV contract that don't end until 2036, when there's going to be really no money going around. The Big Ten and the SEC have about $10 million between them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not even close to being even. The Big Ten is what, $7 billion, and the SEC's $3 billion. We've talked about it before. The most powerful conference in the country is not the SEC, despite what football tells you. It's going to be the conference that has these land grant institutions that have 40,000 undergrads that don't necessarily all come from within its own footprint. You have the Pac-12 that hasn't even been able to secure any type of negotiating going on for its new TV deal. So I could really see a situation where you end up with your Power 3 conferences. That's just going to be the Big Ten, the SEC, and probably the Big 12, where a couple of years ago we were talking about the Big 12 probably ending. But now you have the Florida schools that aren't in the SEC jealous of UCF moving to the Big 12 and having a bigger media rights deal than they do.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind of happens. We see the ACC and the Pac-12 dissolve, mostly because there's not enough dollars to go around here. The SEC has handcuffed ESPN. The Big Ten made a power move, moved in place of the SEC on CBS, which nobody thought would happen, has taken Notre Dame out of the picture on NBC, and Notre Dame still wants $75 million a year. Good luck with that for being one team. And then, they said bye to ESPN and chose Fox. And now on every time slot, every week, the football season, you are going to see a nationally televised Big Ten game on regular TV. Fox. And I guess Fox still has the Big 12 in there, so not necessarily all the time on Fox, but the afternoon time slot is CBS Big Ten game, and you're going to have a nighttime Big Ten game that the entire country can watch just by plugging in their TV. The Big Ten is going about it the right way. Still, you have ABC showing SEC games, and all the other conferences they have a deal with right now. But the SEC is losing its marketing the arm, and it's something where, sorry, some schools are better at business than others, and it's to the detriment of major conferences. And you'll see some consolidation. Do more teams end up joining the SEC, Big 10, and Big 12? Probably. It's just going to be probably more like a super league rather than including everybody in the short future.
Do you feel like, kind of on the heels of the NFL's announcement yesterday, because you're talking about, these TV deals, but, with the NFL announcing that they're going to have a playoff game, a wild card game exclusively on platforms out there. Could you see something like this in the next couple of years? Perhaps maybe it's a bowl game or something like that where, college football is going to dabble into these streaming partners. I feel like it's a foregone conclusion at this point, RJ.
Well, yeah, you even look at NFL Sunday Ticket moving to YouTube TV coming this year. So at a much cheaper rate than it was, and you don't need direct TV anymore. So who knows what that's going to do to direct TV's sales and all that. But it'll be interesting to see that. I wouldn't be surprised if NBC ends up putting some quote unquote lesser games on to Peacock for Big Ten. We've already seen it where some of Wisconsin's basketball games have been on BTN Plus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know one person in this world who has BTN Plus because it's kind of a ripoff. You have to pay more for every sport. So if you want to do a school, you pay a lot more because you get access to all the school sports. You can do sports specific. It's weird, but it's more of a detriment to anything because all they're trying to do is get their numbers up. And I still don't know one person who has BTN Plus. So yeah, it's definitely moving towards that. And at some point, all this stuff has to torpedo itself because, like, for all the money people were spending on cable and complaining about it, it's getting to the point all the people are probably spending more money on their streaming services than they are on cable. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing more and more college football games and even bowl games moving to a streaming platform.
And I was kind of wondering too, and because it was effective yesterday, the Big Ten's new commissioner, Tony, is it Tony Petitti, pronouncing his last name correctly? Hopefully not.
I think that's it. I've heard like interviews a couple of times, but I really haven't paid close enough attention to care right now.
I know he's got, baseball experience, but he's got a lot of TV experience, MLB Network, CBS College Sports. So
Yeah.
you bring in this guy who's your new Big Ten commissioner, and he's got a lot of TV background. You almost kind of wonder, like, I know Big Ten just signed that new deal and that, but you kind of wonder with the streaming thing if that's going to be something on his to-do list at some point.
Yeah, whether it's, hey, look into it, or it's really one of those, yeah, we can create something here and create our own thing and make sure the conference makes money off of it. It'll be interesting to see, but it all started when people started complaining about only 4 teams being on TV. So each conference started to be able to get their own deals, even though they gave it to the NCAA at one point because they were tired of working on their own deals. NCAA took over, chose the teams they wanted to, and then people got mad. So the conferences wanted it back, and now it's all devolving into conference realignment and all that. And I don't think anybody ever thought that would happen. But yeah, hiring a guy who not just involved in Major League Baseball's business day-to-day kind of stuff, but like you said, has been very involved in TV and all that. You got to think at some point that goes right to stuff they can create not only for the Big Ten Network, but also in negotiations and adding stuff even within this current contract to what they're doing with Fox, CBS, and NBC, not to mention getting ready for the next round. And you always have to be ready because it always seems the Big Ten has been at the forefront for this kind of stuff. The real first conference network that I can remember is Big Ten Network. The real first big media rights deal was the Big Ten. The first real then re-upping and drastically changing the landscape of conference media rights deals, the Big Ten. It's just kind of crazy what we're seeing here, and yet it seems the outsiders looking in are kind of upset that the Big Ten's doing all this, but it's not always about the on-field performance. It's about how many eyes are going to be on your product. And like I've always said, the Big Ten is a worldwide brand.
Mm-hmm.
Most other college conferences and even schools are regional brands here in the United States. So the Big Ten has a huge upper leg when it comes to international students that come and do research here and all that kind of stuff. So, it plays to have a good academic side and a good kind of nationally acclaimed school that people can come attend and want to continue viewing your product even when they go home. So that's a big leg up for the Big Ten. It's not always about the athletics. Sometimes it's just about the people who are going to be watching.
It's interesting you mentioned, the Big Ten, kind of being the first and, the leader in that. And I was reading an article about, with the new commissioner being hired. And one of the quotes came from CBS Sports president Sean McManus, where he said, "Don't be surprised if Tony comes up with new events, new approaches, new schedules, just as he did when he joined me in 1997. So it's kind of interesting you mentioned that. And then you have this quote from the CBS Sports president saying, "Hey, don't be surprised if he actually does do stuff like that." So I'm kind of curious of like what new or different stuff he could potentially bring to the Big Ten at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, you don't really think about it until it happens. Hopefully it's not moving the Big Ten and taking over Maction, because I love Maction. Tuesday, Wednesday night football of lower college levels, it's fun to watch. But I watch it because I have no rooting interest, and you see some gimmicky offenses, gimmicky defenses, and yeah, you see some guys who shine, and you're like, oh, he's going to be playing at a different school next year. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of stuff that develops into, because like it's not even one of those where it's like I'm not sure what to expect in that kind of thing. I mean, maybe you do some crossover events where it's like multiple sports in one city, but it's the same schools against each other, and you have your TV crews there. So why not get them all there? Have them staggered starts to give time for stuff to move around and people to get where they need to be. It's really just one of those, you don't really know until it happens because you're not thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst, joining us here this morning. And I know we kind of talked a little bit about it last week, but, CBS Sports, speaking of CBS Sports, they posted up an article, regarding the dark horse candidates looking for the next TCU for the 2023 season. And lo and behold, Badgers are on there. Auburn is up there, at NC State, and then Wisconsin coming in over here too, which, I mean, I think that's probably, Wisconsin's probably going to have that tag with all the preseason talk leading up to the season, that they're going to be kind of a dark horse team, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think for the big reason they're on there, even though you have a massive change in offensive philosophy, massive staff rollover, all that kind of stuff, some questions on the defensive end, because I don't know who's going to be playing in the secondary right now, because it seems like just everybody left after the spring game. They're on there solely because if you look at their schedule, you don't see too many losses. I think everybody's just projecting that Ohio State game as a loss. After that, people are predicting them to be a one-loss team. So you either get a rematch with Ohio State or you play Michigan for the right to be a one-loss Big Ten champion. And yeah, you'll make it to the college football playoff if that happens. But it's one of those, if you have a team that can take care of business, they should be favored in 11 of the 12 games. And that's even just looking at it right now, even with some of the question marks you have, even with the game we saw in the spring game of pretty much every quarterback throwing in an interception. It's just one of those. That's the view we got to the public, but every media you talk to throughout the other 14 practices during spring said the quarterback position was looking really solid. So yeah, we'll just kind of have to see where that goes, but not surprising that they're a dark horse. It's fun to talk about, but until we get to that in-game stuff, I don't see it. But I kind of like the fact that enough people think of Wisconsin to be there. It's just, it's hard to go from what we saw last year and believe this team could make it this season.
We had somebody wanted me to ask you this question because we're hearing Drake May's name quite a bit. Now that the draft is over with, you got Caleb Williams and Drake May, being talked about as top two picks for next year's draft. And somebody wanted me to ask you, why do you think maybe Phil Longo, why would he leave North Carolina and Drake May over there when he had what seems to be a top quarterback prospect over there?
He even kind of said it. It was with he wanted to work with Fickle. Didn't get a chance to at Cincinnati. And I think it was more or less of a landing spot thing where you land in the Big Ten, you land in a better thought of football conference. You don't have to play, in the ACC, where sometimes teams are looked at as, and stats are even looked at as, well, you did play in the ACC. And I mean, some people say that about the Big Ten, but I still think top to bottom, the Big Ten is probably one of the better conferences out there. It's one. I really think he made the jump due to the fact that it is Luke Fickell, it is the Big Ten, it's more historically thought of as being better than the ACC, and yeah, I mean, from the optics, it's like, yeah, you have a guy who could probably win the Heisman next year, but yeah, who I'd like to say I know, but I'm not too sure.
Mm-hmm. I kind of wonder though too, like, would it be a scenario like, hey, if I go to Wisconsin and I can develop a quarterback, whether it's like Tanner Mordecai or whoever it may be, I would have to imagine that's going to improve his head coaching prospects on his resume then, right?
Yeah, probably. But it could be one of those that there are certain guys out there who don't strive to be a head coach. They strive to be a top coordinator. You know, and until you try it, sometimes you don't know you don't want to be a head coach. But we've seen guys who failed as head coach, gone back to coordinator, and they do an exceptional job, and they're thought of as the top coordinator out there. You know, it happens at both levels, NFL and in college. But yeah, I'm not too sure because, I mean, most of what Longo says makes me seem like he's more of a coordinator for life kind of guy. But that's just the vibe I get. I don't know him. I've never met him. It just seems like the stuff he says kind of gives off the, I want to be the best coordinator I can be, not like I'm looking for the next step to be a head coach.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right, RJ. So, I mean, graduation is out there and everything, or over with now. So, guys getting some days off a little bit here, or what's kind of going down in Madison right now?
Yeah, they get probably 2 to 3 weeks here, and then returners will come back, and I think it's the start of the new academic year. July 1st is when the incoming freshmen can start attending. I always think that's what it was. I don't think it was earlier in June or anything like that. But yeah, so couple weeks here, you come back, start your summer conditioning, then scholarship freshmen will come in. Then later on, you continue to do your work with strength and conditioning staff. You do your captain's practices with 7-on-7s. And yeah, you work your way into fall camp starting in August or maybe sometime in July, depending on when your first game is. And yeah, you go from there. So I think, what did I see? Did somebody say we're 180 days away from college football yesterday? So maybe 179 now. But yeah, it seems so far away because we got the whole summer to go. But yeah, it's just around the corner.
No kidding. Holy moly. All right. He's RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst. Dude, appreciate the time as always, buddy. Have a good rest of your week.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We'll catch up with you next week. Okay, sir?
Sounds good. We will see you then.
You got it. There you go. There's RJ Cardinal joining us here for a little bit this morning. Quick break and then closing up shop on this Tuesday morning. Last call for your grades for the Brewers. Email those on over. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Cabin Coffee in Altoona isn't just your go-to place when it comes to coffee. It's your go-to place for smoothies, breakfast, and lunch. Cabin Coffee's menu includes a wide range of smoothies, freshly made sandwiches, and tasty breakfast options. And with their portion sizes, you won't go hungry after finishing your meal at Cabin Coffee. So even though you may not be a big coffee drinker, Cabin Coffee has something for you. You can even have some of their beverages without caffeine too, if you're not a big caffeine person. So give Cabin Coffee a visit today at River Prairie in Altoona. All right, let's wrap up things. We only got a few minutes to the top here. So tonight again, Brewers game 2 against the Cardinals. First pitch 6:45. Wade Miley on the mound, but Brewers also going up against left-handed pitcher Montgomery. So, Brewers issues with left-handed pitching. Who's going to win out? And then you look at the lineups of the Cardinals and their history going up against Wade Miley. Well, they've had some success. So hopefully history doesn't prove right here and the Brewers can kind of change it up and pick up that W tonight. You can catch that game at 105.1 FM and 790 AM. We got the NBA Draft Lottery tonight, NBA Game 1 in the Western Conference Finals with the Lakers and the Nuggets. Also on tap tonight, if you're still in the mood for some NBA postseason, we were talking some of the latest Bucks coaching rumors out there. According to The Athletic, they're interested in Monty Williams, or at least interested in talking to Monty Williams after Monty Williams was just let go by the Phoenix Suns. So another, candidate with head coaching experience. But Bucks seem to also be kind of expanding their search here a little bit. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that the Bucks have received permission to interview Phoenix Suns associate head coach Kevin Young. Young is also a candidate with Toronto and expected to interview with the Suns for their new opening. Also, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, the Bucks will also, or have at least received permission to interview Miami Heat assistant Chris Quinn for the franchise's coaching job. As Adrian Wojnarowski said, that Quinn has emerged on Eric Spoelstra's staff as a candidate for several recent openings. So, do you want a first-timer or do you want a retread, Bucks fans? Bucks casting that wide net right now for their new head coach. All right, so okay. Just reading a tweet there. Got lost in train of thought there. Coming up tomorrow, it is making a turn Wednesday. So we want your stock reports. Whose stock is rising and whose stock is falling. Play along with us. We'll do another edition of Showdown as well. Maybe we'll do a little sports vigilante on it. I think depending on how the draft lottery goes tonight, maybe we might be a good time to do a little sports vigilante and how that the lottery plays out. Or maybe we'll kind of make it a general one for sports vigilante and changing how the drafts go. Because the NFL for me will be interesting this year if we get to a certain point in the season where it's clearly evident, like it's just blatantly there, that a team or maybe a couple teams are just throwing in a towel. They're completely tanking it in because they want that number 1 pick for Caleb Williams, or they want to make sure they get a top 2 pick for either Caleb Williams or Drake May. One of those two for the quarterbacks. I don't know who those teams would be. Would it be like a Washington who, has new owners? They don't necessarily have their franchise quarterback, at least what it looks like from the outside looking in. Maybe a guy like Sam Howell can be that guy. I don't know. But would it be a team like Washington? Would it be somebody else out there? But it'll be kind of interesting to see when we get to a certain point when it gets to the NFL season. Are we going to see a team or a couple teams, tanking for Caleb? And at that point, how do you fix the drafts so teams don't tank, or so teams don't tank for more ping pong balls when it comes to like the NBA draft, when you've got that for sure number 1 pick, like who the guy is. He's like head and shoulders above. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to turn into be all-stars or superstars, but I don't know. We might have to do that for Sports Vigilante. How would you fix the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL drafts, or anything? Or maybe you like them already. Who knows? But maybe we'll hit that up coming up tomorrow. So, all right. Shot clock's going to cut me off here. So we got that. I mentioned stock reports, and then we'll do another edition of Showdown. Also, we'll recap whether the Brewers picked up a win or another loss. You still have some time. You can email me back throughout the rest of the day. Your grades for the Brewers. We'll recap them all coming up tomorrow if we get any more emails back too. So if you're not a member of our Sports Insider Club, you didn't get the email, you should sign up so you can get our emails once in a while. It's free. Won't flood your inboxes, I promise. Just sign up at sportstalk1051.com. DP and Dan, they're up next. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day on this Tuesday. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, just past 6. We will chat with you then.